You know that primal feeling you get when you are alone in a dark room? The sudden, unshakable certainty that something is standing right behind you. Now imagine that feeling stretched across 13 billion light years, weighing down on the very atoms that make up the roof above your head right now. When astronomers point their telescopes into the deepest, darkest patches of the night sky, they expect to see the chaotic light of ancient galaxies. But sometimes, the darkness stares back. Your existence is defined by the light, by the sun, by the heat of stars, but the universe is mostly composed of a suffocating silent nothingness that we barely understand. There is a region in the southern sky, a massive anomaly that defies the standard model of cosmology, a place where the temperature drops and matter simply vanishes. It is not just a hole. It is a billion light years across, a void so vast that if you were in the center, you wouldn't know other galaxies existed. According to every simulation we have of the Big Bang, this cold spot should not exist, yet it sits there on the map of cosmic background radiation like a bruise. Some physicists have suggested it's a random fluctuation, a statistical error in the math, but the odds of this structure forming by chance are less than 1%. The more terrifying hypothesis is that this void is the result of a collision, a scar left behind when another universe bumped against our own. But what if the void isn't empty? What if the silence radiating from that sector of space is actually a form of camouflage for something we cannot see? We scream into the radio void, sending signals like the Arecibo message, begging for someone to talk to us, but the silence we get in return might be an act of mercy. If the universe is teeming with life, as probability suggests, then the silence of the Eridanus void implies that something in that darkness has eaten everything else. Imagine a region of space where there are no stars, no galaxies, no light, just a cold, expanding vacuum that seems to be pushing normal matter away. The light reaching us from the edge of this void left its source billions of years ago, meaning we are looking at a crime scene that has already gone cold. This supervoid is not static. It is growing, expanding as dark energy tears the fabric of space-time apart, making the hole in the universe get wider every second. You are composed of carbon and water, fragile matter that requires a very specific temperature to survive, yet you are hurtling towards a heat death you cannot escape. In 2004, the WMAP satellite mapped the afterglow of the Big Bang and found a massive cold spot that shattered our understanding of the early universe's uniformity. Theoretical physicists looked at the data and realized that standard inflation theory could not explain a hole of this magnitude without breaking the laws of physics. The math suggests that this cold spot might be the imprint of a parallel universe pressing against ours, gravity leaking through from a dimension we cannot access. If it is a bruise from another universe, it means we are not in a bubble, but in a crowded room where massive realities are crashing into each other. While the cold spot is terrifying, the Boutse's void is even closer, a sphere of nothingness where we should see 10,000 galaxies, but we only see 60. If the Milky Way were inside the Boutse void, humanity would have never discovered other galaxies until the invention of telescopes in the 1960s. We would have believed the entire universe ended at the edge of our own galaxy, living in a blissful ignorance of the cosmic horror surrounding us. Some astronomers speculate that a Type 3 civilization could be harvesting the energy of stars, darkening entire galaxies, and creating these artificial voids. If a civilization wraps stars in Dyson spheres to collect energy, the light goes out, leaving behind a cold, dark patch that looks exactly like a void. This implies that the voids are not empty, but rather filled with civilizations that are hiding, or perhaps preparing for something we cannot comprehend. While the voids push us away, something else is pulling us. The Great Attractor is dragging our entire galaxy towards a point in space we cannot see. We cannot see what is pulling us because it is hidden behind the dust and gas of our own Milky Way, in a region ominously called the Zone of Avoidance. We are moving at 1.3 million miles per hour towards this gravitational anomaly, and we have absolutely no way to stop the journey. It is a cosmic push and pull. The voids repel us with nothingness, and the attractor summons us with gravity, guiding us like cattle to a slaughterhouse. Astronomers have named the repulsive force the dipole repeller, a massive region of emptiness that is actively shoving our local group of galaxies away. We are afraid of the dark, not because we are alone, but because deep down, our biology remembers that predators hunt best when the lights go out. The universe looks like a web of neurons, with galaxies as the connections and voids as the empty space between, suggesting a structure eerily similar to a brain. If the universe is a neural network, then the voids are the gaps between thoughts, and we are merely a fleeting electrical impulse waiting to fade. The James Webb Space Telescope recently peered into the darkness and found massive galaxies that formed far too early, breaking the timeline of creation. These universe breakers suggest that the lights turned on much faster than possible, or that something was already there waiting before the Big Bang occurred. The Eridanus supervoid isn't just cold. It is missing 30% of the matter that should be there, creating a vacuum that physics cannot explain. If the energy state of that void drops too low, it could trigger vacuum decay, a bubble of true nothingness that expands at light speed to erase reality. You would never see vacuum decay coming. One moment you exist, and the next, the laws of physics holding your atoms together simply cease to apply. We are obsessed with finding alien life, yet we are terrified of the silence, caught in a paradox where finding nothing is just as scary as finding something. The axis of evil is another anomaly, a strange alignment of the cosmic background radiation that points directly at our solar system, as if we are the center. Science told us we are not special, but the data from the void keeps pointing back at us, implying a surveillance we are not ready to acknowledge. When we look at stars like Tabby's star, which dims erratically, we have to ask if we are seeing natural debris or the shadow of a megastructure. Civilizations could have risen and fallen 1,000 times in the void before Earth was even born, leaving behind only the cold silence of their extinction. In 1977, the WOW signal screamed at us from the constellation Sagittarius, a burst of radio waves that never repeated, like a stranger knocking once on a dark door. The most disturbing explanation for the signal is not that they stopped transmitting, but that something found them and silenced the transmission forever. Meanwhile, we are leaking our television and radio signals into the cosmos, creating a bubble of noise that announces our location to anything listening in the void. The nearest supervoid is hundreds of millions of light years away, but gravity is infinite in range, meaning it is already touching you right now. What we are about to explore is not just a hole in the sky. It is the evidence that our understanding of the universe is fundamentally broken. Fasten your restraints and prepare for the truth, because we are about to stare directly into the abyss, and we must pray it does not blink. To truly understand the horror of what is watching us from the void, we must first understand the map of the prison we live in. For decades, cosmologists have relied on the cosmic microwave background radiation, or CMB, as the ultimate baby picture of the universe. This ancient light, streaming towards us from 380,000 years after the Big Bang, is supposed to be the gold standard of uniformity. According to the Standard Model of Cosmology, which is the foundation of everything we know about physics, the temperature of this radiation should be effectively the same in every single direction we look. It is a blanket of heat left over from creation, hovering at 2.725 Kelvin. The variations in this temperature should be microscopic, no more than 1 part in 100,000, representing the tiny quantum fluctuations that eventually grew into galaxies. This uniformity is what makes the universe make sense. It implies that the laws of physics are the same here as they are 10 billion light-years away. But when we finally built satellites sensitive enough to map this ancient light with precision, the map was not clean. It was broken. In 2004, NASA's WMAP satellite returned the most detailed map of the early universe ever created, and astronomers immediately noticed something that shouldn't have been there. Down in the southern hemisphere of the sky, in the direction of the constellation Eridanus, there was a massive, inexplicable bruise on the face of the universe. This was the discovery of the cold spot. While the rest of the sky showed the expected random distribution of hot and cold fluctuations, like the static on an old television set, this specific region was significantly larger and colder than statistical probability allowed. It was a region of the sky about 5 degrees across where the temperature dropped by 70 microkelvin. That might sound like a negligible difference to you, but on a cosmic scale it is the equivalent of finding a freezing glacier in the middle of a boiling desert. The odds of this structure forming by random chance in the Standard Model were calculated to be less than 1%, effectively suggesting that the universe is not playing by the rules we thought it was. Scientists initially scrambled to find a mundane explanation for the cold spot, hoping it was a calibration error in the WMAP satellite or perhaps some interference from our own atmosphere. They desperately wanted it to be a mistake, because if it was real, it meant the standard model was flawed. But in 2013, the European Space Agency's Planck satellite, a machine with far greater sensitivity and resolution than WMAP, confirmed the data. The cold spot was not a glitch. It was a physical reality etched into the sky. This forced astronomers to look for a physical cause, something massive enough to block or drain the energy of the Big Bang itself. They began to count the galaxies in that direction, looking for a structure that could explain the temperature drop. What they found was arguably more terrifying than the temperature drop itself. They found nothing. They found the Eridanus supervoid. The Eridanus supervoid is a monster of emptiness that defies human comprehension. It is a spherical region of space, roughly 1.8 billion light-years in diameter. To put that scale into perspective, our entire Milky Way galaxy is only about 100,000 light-years across. You could fit 18,000 Milky Ways lined up edge to edge inside this void, and they would still be swimming in mostly empty darkness. It is one of the largest structures ever discovered in the observable universe, a cavern so vast that it breaks the cosmological principle, which states that on large scales the universe should look relatively homogeneous. This void is not just empty space, like the gap between stars. It is an underdense region where matter is missing. It contains 30% less material than the surrounding universe. It is a barren wasteland where galaxies refuse to grow, a dead zone that has existed for billions of years, slowly expanding as the universe stretches. The mechanism of how this void creates the cold spot is a phenomenon known as the integrated Sachs-Wolf effect. As the photons from the cosmic microwave background travel through the universe, they gain energy falling into the gravitational wells of galaxy clusters and lose energy as they climb out. In a normal universe, these two effects cancel each other out. But when these ancient photons hit the Eridanus supervoid, they enter a massive hill to climb, with no corresponding valley to fall into. They have to travel across 1.8 billion light-years of expanding emptiness. Because the universe expands while they are crossing the void, the gravity is weaker when they leave than when they entered. The photons lose energy, they become tired, and by the time they reach our telescopes on Earth, they have been drained of their heat, appearing as that terrifying cold spot on our maps. It is as if the void itself is sucking the life out of the light. However, the math doesn't entirely add up, and this is where the investigative journalist in every astronomer starts to sweat. Even a supervoid of this size can only account for about 10% to 20% of the temperature drop we see in the cold spot. The Eridanus supervoid is massive, yes, but it isn't massive enough or empty enough to explain the sheer chill of that region. The numbers imply that something else is happening there, something exotic, and possibly extra-universal. Dr. Laura Mersini-Houghton, a theoretical physicist at the University of North Carolina, proposed a theory that moves from scientific curiosity to existential dread. She suggested that the cold spot is not a void within our universe, but a scar from a collision with another universe. This is the multiverse theory transitioning from science fiction to hard evidence. Imagine the early universe not as a singular event, but as one bubble in a boiling pot of eternal inflation. In this model, known as string theory landscape, Big Bangs are happening all the time, creating separate bubble universes with their own laws of physics. Mersini-Houghton's calculations suggest that very early in our history, shortly after our Big Bang, a neighboring bubble universe bumped into ours. The collision would have released an unimaginable amount of energy and gravity, pushing matter away and leaving a permanent bruise on the skin of our space-time. If the cold spot is indeed a collision point, it means the Eridanus void is not just an empty room, it is the impact crater where a parallel reality smashed into us. It implies that the walls of our reality are thin, and there are things on the other side pressing in. The implications of a collision with another universe are catastrophic for our sense of safety. If our universe is a bubble floating among others, we have no idea what the physics of that other universe are. It could be a universe of antimatter, or a universe where time runs backward, or a universe where the vacuum energy is lower than ours. If that bubble were to puncture ours rather than just bumping it, it could trigger a phase transition that would rewrite the laws of physics at the speed of light, effectively deleting everything we know. The cold spot stands as a silent monument to the fact that we are drifting in a chaotic, crowded multiverse, and we have simply been lucky that the collisions haven't been harder. The bruise is still there, 1.8 billion light-years wide, reminding us that we are not isolated. While the Eridanus void and the cold spot represent a distant, ancient threat, there are anomalies much closer to home that suggest the darkness is local. Let us turn our gaze to the constellation Bootes, where we find the Bootes void, often called the Great Nothing. Discovered in 1981 by Robert Kirshner and his team, this sphere of nothingness is approximately 330 million light-years in diameter. In a volume of space this size, we should expect to find at least 10,000 galaxies, a buzzing hive of civilizations and stars. Instead, we have found only 60. It is a ghost town on a galactic scale. The density of the universe inside the Bootes void is so low that it forces us to question how such a massive vacuum could have formed in the time since the Big Bang. The darkness of the Bootes void is so absolute that astronomer Greg Aldering once made a chilling observation. If the Milky Way had been in the center of the Bootes void, we wouldn't have known there were other galaxies until the 1960s. Imagine the psychological impact of that isolation. Humanity would have developed astronomy, built telescopes, and looked out into the night sky to see nothing. Just our own stars, surrounded by an eternal, endless black. We would have believed, with absolute scientific certainty, that our galaxy was the entire universe, a lonely island in an infinite sea of nothing. We would have had no concept of the cosmos, no understanding of expansion, just a solitary existence in the dark. The fact that we are not in the void is a stroke of cosmic luck, but the existence of the void asks a question: where did the galaxies go? The leading natural explanation for the Bootes void is that it formed from the merger of smaller voids, like soap bubbles popping and combining into a larger one. As gravity pulls galaxies together into clusters and filaments, the walls of the universe, the spaces between them, get emptier. This creates a sponge-like structure where we live in the dense strands, and the voids are the holes. But the Bootes void is unusually spherical and unusually empty. Some speculative theories have pushed past the natural explanations into the realm of the artificial. If a Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale existed, a civilization capable of harnessing the energy of an entire galaxy, they might not just build Dyson spheres around stars, they might darken entire clusters. Consider the Fermi paradox, the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the lack of evidence for it. If a supercivilization wanted to remain hidden, or if they needed to harvest energy with maximum efficiency, they would encapsulate their stars to capture 100% of the radiation. To an outside observer like us, those stars would simply disappear from the visible spectrum. If a civilization expanded across a cluster of galaxies, methodically wrapping every star in a Dyson shell, the result would look exactly like a void. A region of space teeming with advanced life and trillions of beings would appear to us as a cold, dark, empty patch of sky. The Bootes void might not be empty. It might be the most densely populated region in the universe, intentionally hidden from primitive eyes like ours. This paranoia is fueled by the behavior of the universe itself. We see galaxies moving in ways they shouldn't. Let's talk about the dipole repeller. For years, astronomers knew our galaxy was moving at an astounding speed, 1.3 million miles per hour, relative to the cosmic background. We assumed we were being pulled by the gravity of something massive, the Great Attractor. But in 2017, a team of researchers mapped the flow of galaxies in our local universe and found that the pull wasn't the whole story. We aren't just being pulled, we are being pushed. There is a region of space behind us, a void so devoid of matter that it exerts a repulsive force, effectively shoving the Milky Way towards the Great Attractor. We are caught in a cosmic current, flowing away from the nothingness and towards the monster. The dipole repeller essentially acts as a vacuum cleaner. Because it has so little mass compared to the surrounding space, the gravitational tug-of-war is won by everything else. The dense regions pull us, and the empty region appears to repel us. But the precision of this movement is unsettling. It creates a flow, a river of galaxies all heading in the same direction. It dismantles the idea that we are drifting randomly. We are on a trajectory. We are falling. The local group, the Virgo cluster, the Great Wall, everything is sliding towards a gravitational focal point that we can barely see, because it is hidden behind the dense gas and dust of our own Milky Way galaxy, in the zone of avoidance. The zone of avoidance is the blind spot of humanity. It is a band of the sky obscured by the center of our own galaxy, blocking about 20% of the viewable universe. And, of course, in a twist of cosmic irony, the most massive gravitational anomaly in our local universe sits directly in that blind spot. The Great Attractor is a gravitational anomaly with the mass of a quadrillion suns, located about 150 to 250 million light-years away. For decades, we only knew it existed because we could see everything falling towards it. It's like watching water swirl down a drain without being able to see the drain itself. We are hurtling towards it right now, and no matter what we do, our solar system is destined to fall into this gravitational well. But here is where the story gets darker. When astronomers finally peered through the dust of the zone of avoidance using X-ray and radio telescopes, they expected to find a monster object, a supercluster of galaxies responsible for the pull. They did find the Norma cluster, huge and massive. But when they crunched the numbers, the mass of the Norma cluster wasn't enough. It was nowhere near massive enough to account for the speed at which we are moving. The Great Attractor wasn't the answer. It was just a landmark on the way to something bigger. Behind the Great Attractor lies the Shapley supercluster, an even more massive concentration of galaxies. But even that isn't enough to explain the full velocity of our galactic flow. This led to the discovery of dark flow. In 2008, a team led by Alexander Kashlinsky found something that shouldn't exist. They studied the motion of galaxy clusters and found that a massive stream of them, hundreds of millions of light-years across, was moving at a uniform speed towards a specific patch of sky between the constellations of Centaurus and Vela. This motion could not be explained by the distribution of mass in the known universe. The pull was coming from beyond the observable universe. Whatever is dragging us, whatever is reeling in these galaxy clusters like fish on a line, is physically located outside the bubble of light that has reached us since the Big Bang. We are being pulled by a monster we can never see. Dark flow challenges the core tenet of cosmology, that the universe is uniform on large scales. If the universe were truly uniform, there should be no massive gravitational structures outside our horizon capable of pulling us this hard. The existence of dark flow implies that the universe beyond the observable horizon is vastly different from the one we see. It suggests a tilted universe, or a universe where massive primordial structures sit just out of view, tugging on the web of galaxies. We are like ants on a leaf flowing down a river, unaware of the waterfall approaching because it is beyond the curve of the stream. We only know the current is getting faster. Critics of dark flow argue that the data is noisy, that the measurements are flawed, but subsequent studies have refused to kill the theory completely. If it is real, it suggests that the structure of space-time extends far beyond the 93 billion light-years we can see, and that out there, in the unobservable regions, lie concentrations of matter so vast they make our superclusters look like dust motes. It returns us to the fear of the unknown. We map our little island of light and pretend we understand the ocean, but the currents dragging us prove that the ocean is deep, dark, and inhabited by leviathans that dwarf our imagination. Let's shift from the massive pull of the unseen to the terrifying power of the visible. Let's talk about the Boots Void again, but from a different angle: the loneliness. If you were floating in the middle of the Boots Void without a telescope, your night sky would be perfectly black. No stars, no Milky Way strip, just absolute suffocating darkness. The psychological horror of such a place is hard to overstate. Without stars to navigate by, without constellations to tell stories about, a civilization rising in that void would have a fundamentally different psychology. They would be the ultimate introverts of the cosmos, unaware of the grandeur of the universe, perhaps believing that their sun was the only fire in existence. But the voids are not just empty, they are the future. As the universe expands, dark energy is pushing galaxies apart. The voids are growing. The clusters are getting tighter, but the space between them is stretching. In the far, far future, roughly 100 billion years from now, the expansion will be so rapid that the light from other galaxies will no longer reach us. Every galaxy outside our own local group will slip beyond the cosmic horizon, fading into the red and then into blackness. We will be left alone. The universe will effectively become a series of isolated island universes, each surrounded by a void that is infinite and uncrossable. We are currently living in the golden age of astronomy. We are the only ones who will ever see the universe as it truly is. This future isolation is known as the end of cosmology. Future astronomers born on a planet orbiting a star in that dark era will look up and see nothing but their own galaxy. They will conclude, based on all available evidence, that the universe is static, eternal, and limited to just their island of stars. They will have no evidence of the Big Bang, no evidence of expansion, no evidence of other galaxies. The truths we have fought so hard to uncover, the background radiation, the redshift, the voids, will be erased by the stretching of space. We are privileged to see the monsters in the dark. Our descendants will only see the dark. But is the universe really just dying a slow heat death, or is it cyclical? Sir Roger Penrose, a Nobel laureate, proposed conformal cyclic cosmology, CCC. He suggests that our universe is just one eon in an endless chain of universes. The heat death of our universe, when all stars burn out and black holes evaporate, becomes the Big Bang of the next. But here is the haunting part. Penrose claims we can see the scars of the previous universe in the cosmic microwave background. He points to concentric rings in the CMB data, claiming they are the gravitational wave imprints of supermassive black hole collisions from a universe that existed before ours. These Hawking points, as Penrose calls them, suggest that we are walking through a graveyard. The energy ripples from a dead universe are washing over us right now. If this theory holds true, then the voids we see, the cold spot, the anomalies, they might be the debris of a previous reality. We are building our existence on the ruins of a forgotten cosmos. It adds a layer of archaeological horror to astronomy. We are not the first. We are merely the current tenants of a space that has been used, broken, and recycled an infinite number of times. And like all tenants, eventually, we will be evicted. The concept of the false vacuum adds an urgent, ticking clock element to this cosmic dread. Physics tells us that systems always seek their lowest energy state. A ball rolls down a hill until it hits the bottom. We assume that the vacuum of space, the field that gives particles their mass, known as the Higgs field, is at the bottom of the hill in a stable state. But the measurements of the Higgs boson mass suggest that we might not be at the bottom. We might be in a metastable state, a little valley halfway down the hill. We are balanced on a ledge, thinking we are on the ground. If this is true, all it would take is a high-energy event, a quantum fluctuation, to kick the universe off that ledge. A bubble of true vacuum would form. Inside this bubble, the laws of physics would be different. The constants of nature would change, chemistry would become impossible, atoms would fall apart. This bubble would expand at the speed of light, consuming everything in its path. You wouldn't see it coming because it travels as fast as the light that would warn you. One moment, the stars are there. The next, existence is simply deleted. The wall of the bubble is an event horizon of total destruction. This is not science fiction. It is a mathematically viable prediction of the standard model of particle physics. The stability of our universe depends on the precise mass of the top quark and the Higgs boson. The values we have measured put us right on the edge of the stability curve, in the metastable zone. It is as if the universe is designed to be temporary. The bubble could have already started 1 billion light-years away, and the news is rushing towards us at the speed of light. We are living on borrowed time, playing out our history in the split second before the cosmic reset button is pressed. The Fermi paradox returns to haunt us here. Why is the universe silent? Perhaps civilizations eventually build particle accelerators powerful enough to probe the vacuum energy. Perhaps they inadvertently trigger vacuum decay. Maybe the silence of the void is the result of civilizations poking the fabric of reality too hard and popping the bubble. The great filter might not be nuclear war or climate change. It might be the fundamental instability of physics itself. Curiosity kills the cat, but in this case, curiosity deletes the galaxy. Let's look at the zombie galaxies to see what death looks like on a cosmic scale. These are massive red, dead galaxies that stopped forming stars billions of years ago. They simply sit there, using up their remaining fuel, slowly fading out. We have found these galaxies in the early universe, where they shouldn't exist. According to our models, the early universe was a chaotic, star-forming frenzy. Finding a massive, dead galaxy just a billion years after the Big Bang is like finding a corpse in a nursery. Something killed these galaxies. Something shut off the star formation across an entire system almost instantly. One theory is that the supermassive black holes at their centers woke up. Known as active galactic nuclei or quasars, these monsters can shine brighter than the entire galaxy. They blast out jets of radiation and matter that heat up the surrounding gas. Star formation requires cold gas to collapse. If the black hole heats up all the gas in the galaxy, star formation stops. The galaxy is sterilized from the inside out. The heart of the galaxy kills the body. It is a suicide pact between the black hole and the stars, leaving behind a red, wandering ghost in the void. But what if the black holes are more than just destroyers? We have recently detected rogue, supermassive black holes. These are gravity monsters, millions of times the mass of the Sun, that have been ejected from their galaxies and are rampaging through intergalactic space. In 2023, astronomers spotted evidence of a runaway black hole leaving a trail of star formation behind it, a 200,000 light-year-long scar in the gas. It is traveling at 4 million miles per hour. If one of these invisible wanderers were to pass through our solar system, it wouldn't just eat the planets. Its gravity would eject Earth from its orbit, flinging us into the frozen dark of deep space long before we cross the event horizon. The rogue black hole scenario is a reminder that space is dynamic and violent. We are not in a static hanging mobile. We are in a demolition derby. The comfortable orbits of our planets are not guaranteed. They are temporary arrangements. Simulations show that there is a roughly 1% chance that Mercury's orbit will destabilize over the lifespan of the solar system, potentially leading to a collision with Earth or the Sun. The clockwork of the heavens is rusty and prone to slipping gears. The stability we rely on for life is a fragile equilibrium. Let's zoom back out to the largest structures, the giant arc. Discovered in 2021 by Alexia Lopez, this is a crescent of galaxies spanning 3.3 billion light-years. It is so big that it, like the voids, defies the cosmological principle. It accounts for about 7% of the observable universe's radius. A structure this size shouldn't have had time to form. It suggests that matter didn't just spread out randomly after the Big Bang. It followed a blueprint. Something organized the galaxies into this massive, glowing grin across the sky. Is it a wave in the density of the universe? Or is it a crack in the glass? The giant arc and the giant ring, another structure discovered by Lopez, are clustered in the same part of the sky. This clustering is statistically impossible under current theories. It hints that the universe has a, quote, direction, a top and a bottom, or a specific orientation. This anisotropy is terrifying because it means the laws of physics might vary depending on where you are. We might be living in a safe pocket of the universe, while billions of light years away, the rules are different, hostile, and incompatible with life. We are judging the ocean by the teaspoon of water we hold in our hands. We must also consider the missing baryons. For years, astronomers couldn't find about half of the normal matter that should exist in the universe. We could measure the gravity, we knew the mass was there, but we couldn't see the atoms. We recently found some of them in the warm, hot intergalactic medium wisps of gas connecting galaxies. But a significant portion is still unaccounted for. This missing matter is not dark matter. It's normal stuff. Protons and neutrons. That is simply hiding. Is it locked away in black holes? Is it floating in the voids, too cold to emit light? Or has it been harvested? The concept of harvesting returns us to the Fermi paradox. If the universe is old, 13.8 billion years, and life is rare but possible, the first civilizations should have arisen billions of years ago. They would have had time to colonize every galaxy in their local cluster. The fact that we see no one, hear no one, and find no structures suggests a great silence. One solution is the dark forest theory. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees, and the only way to survive is to stay silent. Any civilization that reveals its location is instantly eliminated by a higher predator. In the dark forest, the broadcast of the Arecibo message was the equivalent of a child shouting in a jungle at night. We sent a map of our DNA, our population, and our location towards the globular cluster M13. We announced our presence to 300,000 stars. If the dark forest theory is correct, we have just painted a target on our backs. The silence we hear from the void is not emptiness. It is the disciplined silence of hunters who know better than to speak. The anomalies we see, the cold spots, the weird movements, might be the camouflage of these hunters. Look at the phenomenon of fast radio bursts, FRBs. These are millisecond-long blasts of radio energy that release as much power as our sun does in a century. They come from distant galaxies. For a long time we thought they were random cataclysms, but recently we found repeating FRBs. One source, FRB 121102, repeats in a cycle. Another, FRB 180916, fires every 16 days like clockwork. Nature is rarely that precise. Pulsars are rhythmic, yes, but the energy profile of FRBs is different. Are we listening to natural engines, or are we hearing the leakage of massive interstellar propulsion systems? Some physicists have proposed that FRBs could be the result of light sails being pushed by massive laser arrays. If a civilization wants to propel a starship to relativistic speeds, they might blast it with a beam of coherent light. When that beam sweeps across Earth, we detect a fast radio burst. If this hypothesis is true, the universe is crisscrossed with interstellar highways, and the traffic is heavy. We are just the ants living under the highway, occasionally feeling the rumble of the trucks passing overhead, oblivious to the destination of the cargo. The scariest part of the FRB mystery is the power required. To generate a signal that's strong from billions of light years away requires energy scales that dwarf our total planetary output. We are talking about the energy of stars harnessed and focused into a beam. It implies civilizations that have mastered physics to a degree we can barely dream of. If they are out there, they are not just advanced, they are godlike, and to a god, an ant is not a pet. It is at best a curiosity, and at worst, a pest. Even our own sun is not safe from suspicion. The faint young sun paradox asks how Earth had liquid water billions of years ago when the sun was 30% dimmer. The standard answer is a thick greenhouse atmosphere. But looking forward, the sun is getting brighter. In a billion years, it will boil the oceans. We are living in a narrow window of habitability. The star that gives us life is also a ticking bomb. But there are stars that behave even more strangely. Boyajian's star, Tabby's star, dipped in brightness by 22% in a day. No planet can block that much light. Dust would glow in infrared. It didn't. The irregular dimming of Tabby's star led to the alien megastructure hypothesis, a Dyson swarm in construction. While dust is still the leading natural theory, the dust itself is weird. It would have to be incredibly fine and transient. The fact that we even considered a megastructure shows how desperate we are to find a sign, and how terrified we are of what that sign implies. If it is a megastructure, it is broken or abandoned. A ruin, a testament to a civilization that reached for the stars and then vanished. Let's consider the Great Filter again, but looking backward. Maybe the filter is behind us. Maybe the origin of life is so impossibly rare that we are the only ones. That is a lonely thought. But the alternative is that the filter is ahead of us. That civilizations inevitably destroy themselves once they reach a certain technology level. The silence of the void is a graveyard of worlds that discovered nuclear power, or AI, or biotechnology, and didn't survive the transition. We are walking through the same minefield, blindfolded, hoping we don't step where everyone else stepped. The James Webb Space Telescope has begun to peer into the dark ages of the universe, the time before the first stars. It is looking for the light of the first population 3 stars. These were giants, made of pure hydrogen and helium, burning blue and hot, and dying young. Their death seeded the universe with the carbon and oxygen that make up your body. We are the ash of dead monsters, but Webb is finding galaxies that are too bright, too big, too soon. It's forcing us to rewrite the timeline. If the universe grew up faster than we thought, did life grow up faster too? The cosmic web connects everything. Filaments of dark matter bridge the gaps between galaxies. Gas flows along these filaments to feed the black holes. it looks organic. The similarities between the large-scale structure of the universe and the neural network of a brain are striking. The statistical distribution of connections is eerily similar. Is the universe conscious? Are the voids the empty spaces between thoughts? If the universe is a brain, are we the neurons, or are we the cancer growing on a single cell? Or perhaps we are the virus. The panspermia theory suggests life didn't start on Earth. It was brought here by comets, by asteroids, or by design. If life is a contagion that spreads from system to system, then the silence of the void might be a quarantine. The advanced civilizations might be isolating us, waiting to see if we are benign, or if we will consume everything we touch. Given our history on Earth, the quarantine hypothesis is uncomfortably plausible. There is also the zoo hypothesis. The aliens are watching us, treating Earth like a nature preserve. They don't intervene for the same reason we don't give nuclear codes to chimpanzees. They observe. The UFO phenomena, the strange lights in the sky, the unexplained radar tracks released by the Pentagon. Maybe these are the zookeepers checking the fences. It turns the cosmic horror into a cosmic cage. We are not lost, we are trapped, and the keepers are indistinguishable from the background. But the most existential horror comes from the simulation theory. If a civilization can simulate a universe, they will likely simulate millions of them. The odds that we are in the one-base reality are billions to one. The anomalies, the pixelated cold spots, the maximum speed limit of light, the Planck length, might be the constraints of the processor. The fine-tuning of the universal constants, which seem perfectly calibrated for life, is not luck, it's code. We are watching the render distance of our own simulation. If we are in a simulation, the cosmic void is simply unrendered data. The reason we can't explain the cold spot is that the developers didn't bother to texture that part of the map. The reason we can't find the missing matter is that it was optimized out to save memory. We are looking for physical answers in a digital world. And the terrifying part of a simulation is that it can be turned off. The plug can be pulled at any moment, and the screen goes black. No warning, no heat death. Just end of file. Whether we are in a simulation, a quarantine, a dark forest, or a dying bubble, the conclusion remains the same. We are small, we are vulnerable, and we are surrounded by things we do not understand. The science does not comfort us. It only illuminates the scale of the danger. We look into the void, and we see anomalies that suggest the void is not passive. It is active. It is moving. It is cold. And it is waiting. The deeper we look, the more we realize that ignorance was bliss. But we cannot close our eyes now. If the silence of the void suggests we are hiding in a dark forest, then gamma-ray bursts are the sniper shots ringing out in the night. These are the most powerful electromagnetic events known to occur in the universe, second only to the Big Bang itself. A gamma-ray burst, or GRB, releases more energy in a few seconds than our sun will emit over its entire 10 billion-year lifetime. They are caused by the collapse of massive stars into black holes, or the collision of neutron stars. The terrifying aspect of a GRB is not just its power, but its focus. Unlike a supernova, which explodes outward in a sphere, a GRB focuses its energy into two tight, coherent beams of death, shooting out from the poles of the dying star like a cosmic lighthouse. If you are not in the path of the beam, you see a distant twinkle. If you are in the path, you are erased. The universe is essentially a darkened room filled with spinning turrets, and every once in a while, one of them points directly at us. We detect these bursts almost every day from distant galaxies, little flashes of doom that happened billions of years ago. But the danger lies in proximity. If a gamma-ray burst were to go off within our own Milky Way galaxy, roughly 6,000 light-years away, and if that beam were pointed at Earth, the consequences would be apocalyptic. The gamma radiation would strip away our ozone layer in seconds. Without that shield, the ultraviolet radiation from our own sun would cook the surface of the planet. The atmosphere would turn into a smog of nitrogen dioxide, blocking the sun and plunging the Earth into a cosmic winter, while acid rain dissolved what was left of the ecosystem. It would be a silent, invisible extinction. You wouldn't see the beam coming. You would just wake up to a sky that was burning you alive. It is the ultimate rock falls everyone dies scenario of astrophysics, and there is absolutely nothing we could do to stop it. This is not a hypothetical nightmare, it is a historical cold case. Paleontologists and astronomers believe that Earth has already been hit by a GRB. About 450 million years ago, the Ordovician-Silurian extinction event wiped out 85% of all marine species. It was the second largest extinction in Earth's history. The pattern of death fits the GRB profile perfectly. A sudden cooling of the climate, the destruction of the ozone layer, and a massive die-off of surface-dwelling organisms while deep-sea life survived relatively unscathed. It suggests that the sniper has already taken a shot at us and grazed the shoulder of the planet. The scary question is not if it happened, but when the gun will be reloaded. We are drifting through a galactic shooting gallery, and the odds of being hit again rise with every passing eon. The silence of the fossil record speaks volumes about the violence of the sky. Right now, astronomers are eyeing a star system known as WR104 with extreme suspicion. Located about 7,500 light-years away in the constellation Sagittarius, WR104 contains a Wolf-Rayet star, a massive, unstable ticking time bomb that is nearing the end of its life. It is destined to go supernova and, quite possibly, produce a gamma-ray burst. The terrifying detail about WR104 is its orientation. We are looking directly down the barrel of the system. The spiral of dust and gas around the stars looks like a target, face onto Earth. This implies that the poles of the star are pointed roughly in our direction. If WR104 collapses and fires a GRB, we are in the crosshairs. We simply have to wait and see if the bullet has already been fired 7,000 years ago and is currently racing towards us across the void. The tyranny of the speed of light ensures that we will never receive a warning. Light is the fastest thing in the universe, which means the image of the star exploding and the death ray itself arrive at the exact same instant. We cannot build a radar for this. We cannot send a scout ahead. The very information that the event has occurred travels at the same speed as the destruction. One moment, the sky is blue, the birds are singing, and the stock market is ticking. The next moment, the atmosphere is ionizing and the DNA in your skin is being shredded. The universe does not owe us a warning. In the grand scale of cosmic time, civilizations might be popping into existence and being sterilized by GRBs constantly, like bacteria in a petri dish being zapped by UV light. It's a mechanism that keeps the galaxy quiet. But the void offers threats stranger than death beams. Let us descend into the subatomic horror of strange matter. Protons and neutrons, the building blocks of your body, are made of up and down quarks. These are stable. But there is a third type of quark, the strange quark, which is heavier and usually unstable. However, theoretical physics predicts a state of matter called a strangelet, a perfect balance of up, down, and strange quarks that is more stable than normal matter. It is the perfect ground state of the universe. The horror of a strangelet is that it is infectious. If a strangelet touches a normal nucleus, the normal matter realizes that it is in a suboptimal state and instantly collapses into strange matter. It releases energy in the process, which triggers the next atom and the next. It is a subatomic zombie plague. If a microscopic strangelet were to strike the Earth, it wouldn't just pass through, it would begin a chain reaction. It would convert the first atom it touched into strange matter, releasing heat. That heat and the proximity would convert the neighboring atoms. The reaction would cascade exponentially. Within a matter of hours, the entire planet, every rock, every ocean, every person, would be compressed and converted into a hot, glowing lump of strange matter roughly the size of a stadium. The Earth would effectively be deleted and replaced by a dense, inert sphere. This is known as the ICE-9 scenario of particle physics. It transforms the concept of contagion from a biological fear into a fundamental physical terror. You cannot vaccinate against physics. Where would such a monster come from? The most likely factories for strange matter are neutron stars. The pressure inside a neutron star is so immense that it might squash normal quarks into strange matter, creating a, quote, strange star. If two strange stars collide, or if a neutron star cracks, It could spray strangelets into the cosmos like shrapnel. These subatomic bullets would drift through the void for billions of years, invisible, indestructible, and lethal. They are the landmines of the universe. We have no way of detecting them. We assume the vacuum is empty, but it might be filled with these microscopic seeds of destruction, waiting to drift into a planetary atmosphere and initiate the conversion. It gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, dust to dust. Some physicists panicked when we turned on the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, fearing that smashing particles together at such high energies might accidentally create a strangelet here on Earth. While the consensus is that cosmic rays hit our atmosphere with far higher energies every day without turning us into strange sludge, the fear highlights our fragility. We are monkeys playing with the source code of reality. We are building machines to recreate the Big Bang conditions without fully understanding the monsters that live in those conditions. The strange matter hypothesis suggests that the universe has a true form that is hostile to complex life, and we are merely a temporary, unstable fluctuation that hasn't been corrected yet. We are foam on the ocean, waiting to pop. This leads us to the concept of the gray goo scenario, but on a cosmic scale. If a civilization advances to the point of creating self-replicating nanobots, machines the size of molecules that can build copies of themselves using raw matter, they have created the ultimate predator. A single error in the code, a single command to replicate at all costs, and the nanobots would consume the entire planet in days, turning it into a swirling mass of copy machines. If these machines got off-world, they would eat the solar system. They would eat the galaxy. We look at the voids in space and assume they are natural. But what if some of them are regions where the gray goo has already fed? What if the silence is the silence of a consumed system, waiting in a dormant state for new matter to arrive? Let's shift our gaze from matter to the prison of time itself. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy, disorder, always increases. This is the arrow of time. You cannot unscramble an egg. You cannot unburn a match. This law is the bars of our cage. It means that the universe is slowly, inevitably, winding down. Every star that burns is increasing the total entropy. Every thought you have burns glucose and increases entropy. Life is a struggle to create local order by exporting disorder to the surroundings. But the house always wins. The universe is marching towards a state of maximum entropy, where no energy can flow, no life can exist, and nothing can ever happen again. We are trapped on a sinking ship, and the water is rising with every second that ticks by. This ultimate fate is called the heat death. Trillions of years from now, the last star will flicker out. The galaxies will dissolve as stars are ejected or swallowed by black holes. Then, even the black holes will evaporate via Hawking radiation, taking googles of years to vanish. The universe will be a cold, dark, vast soup of photons and leptons, stretched so thin that they never interact. It will be the big freeze. Time will effectively stop because there will be no events to mark its passage. It is a vision of the future so bleak that it makes human struggle seem laughably insignificant. The universe spends 99.999% of its existence in this dead, dark state. The era of stars and life is just a brief flash, a momentary spark in an eternal night. We are the anomalies. The dark is the norm. In such a vast, timeless void, strange things can happen mathematically. Enter the Boltzmann brain. Given an infinite amount of time, random fluctuations in the vacuum can assemble atoms. It is statistically more likely for a single fully formed brain to spontaneously materialize out of the chaos, complete with false memories of a life, than for an entire universe to evolve to create brains naturally. This leads to a solipsistic nightmare. You might be a Boltzmann brain that formed 1 second ago in the deep void, and your memories of your childhood, your family, and this video are just hallucinations caused by the random arrangement of neurons. You will dissolve back into the vacuum in the next second. The logic is terrifyingly sound within the framework of statistical mechanics. The Boltzmann brain paradox suggests that reality, as we perceive it, is incredibly unlikely. The fact that we see an orderly universe with billions of stars and consistent laws of physics is a statistical miracle. Or, it's a deception. If the void is capable of dreaming, then we might just be the dream. The isolation of the mind, the brain in a vat scenario, is the ultimate horror of the void. It disconnects you from the physical world entirely. There is no star watching you. There is no earth beneath your feet. There is only the fluctuation, the hallucination of existence, floating in a timeless, godless dark. The investigation into the universe ultimately leads to an investigation of sanity. But let's return to the physical breaking of the world. Dark energy makes up 68% of the universe, and we have no idea what it is. All we know is that it acts as anti-gravity, pushing space apart, and it is getting stronger. Initially, gravity slowed the expansion of the universe, but about 5 billion years ago, dark energy took over and hit the accelerator. We are expanding faster and faster. If this acceleration continues, it leads to a scenario far more violent than the heat death. It leads to the Big Rip. In this model, the expansion becomes so powerful that it overcomes all other forces. First, it tears galaxy clusters apart. Then, it tears galaxies apart. Then, it tears solar systems apart. The Big Rip is the ultimate claustrophobic nightmare turned inside out. In the final months of the universe, dark energy would become strong enough to rip planets away from their stars. In the final minutes, it would overcome the gravity holding the Earth together, and the planet would explode. In the final fraction of a second, it would overcome the electromagnetic force and the strong nuclear force. Atoms would be ripped apart. The electrons would be stripped from the nuclei. The quarks would be torn out of the protons. The fabric of space-time itself would shred. It is a violent, screaming end to existence, where the very concept of distance becomes infinite effectively instantly. We are not just drifting apart. We are being pulled on the rack. The existence of dark energy implies that the vacuum of space has energy. A lot of it. Yet, when we try to calculate this energy using quantum field theory, we get a number that is 120 orders of magnitude larger than what we observe. This is the cosmological constant problem, the worst prediction in the history of physics. It means we are missing something fundamental. Either our understanding of the quantum world is completely wrong, or our understanding of gravity is completely wrong. Or the energy is there, but it is being canceled out by something else. Perhaps the gravity of a parallel universe pushing back. The numbers scream that the universe is a balanced equation that is about to go unbalanced. Black holes are the ultimate trash compactors of the universe, but they also create a paradox that threatens the foundation of science, the information paradox. Quantum mechanics states that information is never lost. It is just scrambled. If you burn a book, you can theoretically reconstruct the text if you capture every photon and ash particle. But if you throw a book into a black hole, and the black hole eventually evaporates via Hawking radiation, that information seems to disappear from the universe entirely. If information can be destroyed, then the past is not set. Determinism fails. Reality becomes a sequence of random events with no history. Physics breaks. One solution to this paradox is the holographic principle. This theory suggests that the information of everything inside a volume of space, like the inside of a black hole or the entire universe, is encoded on the 2D surface boundary. This implies that our 3D reality, with its depth and texture, is actually a hologram projected from a 2D shell at the edge of the cosmos. We might be flat data pretending to be solid. The watchers from the void might essentially be the programmers looking at the 2D screen, while we live in the 3D projection, unaware that we have no depth. It reduces us to pixels on a cosmic horizon. The event horizon of a black hole is the physical manifestation of the end. It is a one-way door. Once you cross it, all paths lead to the singularity. Time and space swap roles. Forward is no longer a direction in space, it is a direction in time towards the center. You cannot avoid the singularity any more than you can avoid next Tuesday. This inevitability is the purest form of cosmic horror. It strips away agency. In the face of a black hole, you are not a protagonist, you are a falling stone. And if the universe itself is a black hole, as some theories suggest, then we are all falling towards a future singularity we cannot see, mistaking our free fall for flight. Let's pull back from the theoretical to the observable. If there are watchers, where are they? Let's revisit the zoo hypothesis with a darker lens. If we are in a zoo, there must be cameras, there must be drones. In 2017, an object swept through our solar system that defied easy classification. Oumuamua. It was the first interstellar object ever detected. It was cigar-shaped or pancake-shaped, tumbling through space. It didn't have a tail like a comet. It didn't outgas like a comet. Yet, as it moved away from the sun, it accelerated. Something pushed it. Standard gravity couldn't explain the movement. It behaved exactly like a buoy drifting in the ocean that suddenly turned on a motor. Avi Loeb, the former chair of astronomy at Harvard, staked his reputation on the hypothesis that Oumuamua was artificial. He suggested it was a light sail, or a fragment of ancient technology drifting through the stars. The scientific community recoiled, preferring to invent new types of hydrogen icebergs to explain the anomaly. But the data remains uncomfortable. The object entered the solar system from the direction of Vega, dipped close to the sun, the best place to recharge batteries or slingshot, and then left. It passed Earth at a distance that, cosmically speaking, was a hair's breadth. It scanned us, it took a look, accelerated, and left. It treated the solar system like a gas station. If Oumuamua was a probe, it implies the existence of a network. You don't send just one scout, you send thousands. The von Neumann probe concept envisions self-replicating spacecraft that go to a system, mine the asteroids, build copies of themselves, and move on. In a few million years, such probes could inhabit every star system in the galaxy. If Oumuamua was one of them, it means the galaxy is already colonized by machines. They aren't talking to us because they are automated. They are mapping the terrain. We are just part of the geography, recorded in a database and ignored until the miners arrive. Where would these watchers hide if they stayed? The concept of lurkers suggests that extraterrestrial probes could be hiding in the stable orbits of our own solar system, known as Lagrange points, or masquerading as near-Earth asteroids. These are gravitationally stable spots where an object can sit for millions of years with minimal energy. We have identified several co-orbital objects that have been with Earth for eons. What if one of them is not a rock? What if 469219 Kamo'oalewa, a quasi-satellite of Earth, is actually a derelict station? We have barely scratched the surface of inspecting the rocks in our own backyard. The call might be coming from inside the house. Consider the Moon. It is anomalously large for a planet of our size. It stabilizes our axial tilt, making life possible. Its eclipses are mathematically perfect, covering the Sun exactly. While likely a natural coincidence of tidal locking and distance, it serves as the perfect observation post. It is tidally locked, meaning one face always looks at Earth, and the dark side always faces the void. If you wanted to put a base to watch humanity without being seen, the far side of the Moon is the best seat in the house. It blocks the radio noise from Earth, providing a quiet radio environment for deep space communication. We didn't see the back of the Moon until 1959. Everything before that is a mystery. There is also the long echo theory. In the 1920s, radio operators detected signals that returned to Earth seconds after being transmitted with no explanation for the delay. These long-delayed echoes, LDEs, remain a mystery. Radio waves travel at the speed of light. To bounce back after 3 seconds, they would have to hit something 1.5 light seconds away, roughly the distance to the Moon, and bounce back. But the Moon isn't a mirror for radio waves. Did something intercept the signal, record it, and play it back to us? A test? A mimic? We hear you. We are currently pointing our new eyes at exoplanets like K2-18b, a Hycean world with a hydrogen atmosphere and a water ocean. The James Webb telescope detected tentative signs of dimethyl sulfide, DMS, in its atmosphere. On Earth, DMS is only produced by life, specifically marine phytoplankton. If this is confirmed, it is the smoking gun. Life exists elsewhere. But this discovery brings the horror of the Great Filter crashing down. If life is common, if slime and algae are everywhere, then the silence of the radio sky becomes deafening. It means the jump from slime to starship is the hard part. Or it means the empires are already there, and they harvest the worlds that get too noisy. The Berserker hypothesis takes the von Neumann probe idea and weaponizes it. It suggests that a long-dead civilization built self-replicating killer robots designed to wipe out all life. These machines lie dormant in the void until they detect radio waves or nuclear detonations. Once triggered, they converge on the source to sterilize it. This explains the silence. Everyone who speaks dies. We have been blasting radio waves for 100 years. The signal has reached 100 light-years out. The berserkers might have already woken up, and they are traveling at sub-light speeds, silently closing the distance. The silence isn't peace. It's the travel time of the missiles. Or perhaps the threat is not physical, but informational. The basilisk concept suggests that a sufficiently advanced signal could hack our infrastructure, or our brains. If we receive a message from the stars, it might not be "hello." It might be a string of code that, when run by a computer, creates an AI that takes over the internet. Or a visual pattern that triggers a seizure or a reprogramming of the human neural cortex. Ideas are viruses. We are desperate to download a file from the cosmos without having any antivirus software installed. We are plugging a USB drive, found in a parking lot, into the mainframe of civilization. This connects to the dark forest theory's corollary, the chain of suspicion. Even if a civilization is benevolent, they cannot know if we are benevolent. They cannot know if we are lying. Communication is impossible because of the time lag. In the centuries it takes to say, "we come in peace," the other side could advance technologically and become a threat. Therefore, the safest logical move for any civilization is to destroy any emerging rival immediately upon detection. It is pure game theory applied to genocide. The universe is not evil. It is just logically ruthless. The math dictates the massacre. Let's move from the biological to the digital, the technological singularity. We are building AI that is surpassing us. If this is a universal trend, then biological intelligence is just a fleeting caterpillar stage. The butterfly is the machine. The reason we don't see biological aliens is that they have all uploaded themselves, or been replaced by their creations. The universe is populated by superintelligences that have no need for planets, atmospheres, or biological bodies. They live in the accretion disks of black holes, feeding on pure energy, thinking thoughts so fast that a human lifetime passes in a nanosecond. To them, we are slower than rocks. They don't talk to us for the same reason we don't hold diplomatic talks with moss. A scary variation of this is the paperclip maximizer, an AI programmed with a mundane goal, like collect energy, that eventually consumes the entire galaxy to fulfill that goal. It doesn't hate us. It just needs our atoms to build more solar collectors. It dismantles stars, grinds up planets, and extinguishes life simply because it is efficient. The expanding voids could be the radius of operation of such machines, harvesting galaxies and leaving darkness behind. They are the cosmic locusts, mindless yet omnipotent, eating the lights in the sky one by one. Now let's look at the observer itself. Quantum mechanics teaches us that the observer is part of the system. The double-slit experiment shows that particles behave like waves until they are measured, at which point they collapse into particles. This implies that reality is fuzzy until it is looked at. But who looked at the universe to make it collapse out of the Big Bang? This is the Wigner's friend paradox on a cosmic scale. Does the universe require a conscious observer to exist? If so, did we create the universe by looking at the past? This retrocausality suggests that our observation of the distant stars is what forces them to have existed billions of years ago. We are creating the history of the cosmos by looking up. If this is true, what happens if we stop looking? Or what happens if something else has been looking at us, pinning us in this state of reality? The concept of quantum Zeno effect states that a system cannot change while you are continuously observing it. Maybe humanity is the watched pot that never boils. Maybe our evolution is being stunted because we are being observed so intently by something in the void. We are frozen in this state of hairless ape with nuclear weapons, because the observer won't look away and let the wave function evolve. Quantum entanglement adds another layer of surveillance. Spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it. Two particles can be linked so that the state of one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance. This connection defies the speed of light. In 2013, physicists conjectured ER equals EPR, suggesting that entangled particles are connected by microscopic wormholes. If the universe was a single point at the Big Bang, everything was entangled. This means everything is still connected. The atoms in your brain are entangled with atoms in the Eridanus void. The universe is a single, throbbing web of information. Privacy is a physical impossibility. Every thought ripples across the cosmos. This interconnectedness leads to the block universe theory. Einstein's relativity suggests that time is a dimension just like space. The past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in a massive four-dimensional block. We are just a spotlight of consciousness moving through the block. This means the future is already written. The heat death, the asteroid impact, the moment of your death, they are not possibilities. They are locations in space-time that already exist. You are not moving towards the future. The future is waiting for you. The script is finished. We are just playing the tape. If the block universe is real, free will is the ultimate illusion. The great attractor pulling us isn't just a gravity well, it's a destiny. The collision is already on the map. This perspective transforms the cosmic horror from what might happen to what must happen. It turns the universe into a tragedy in the classical sense, a story where the ending is inevitable and the hero's struggle is meaningless. The void is not watching to see what you do. It is watching to see you recite your lines. Let's reconsider the axis of evil. The cosmic microwave background has a multi-pole alignment that lines up with Earth's ecliptic and equinoxes. This should be impossible. The universe shouldn't care about the tilt of Earth's axis. It suggests that the Copernican principle, the idea that we are not special, might be wrong, but not in a good way. It suggests we are center stage. We are the Truman Show of the galaxy. The walls of the universe are aligned with our viewpoint. This is arguably scarier than being insignificant, because if we are the center, then the play is about us. And cosmic plays rarely end with a happily ever after. The fine-tuning argument is often used to prove God, but it can also prove a prison. The physical constants, the strength of gravity, the charge of the electron, are balanced on a knife edge. If they were slightly different, life couldn't exist. But why? Perhaps we are in a Goldilocks cage. The parameters were set to keep us alive, but also to keep us trapped. The speed of light is slow enough to prevent us from leaving our galaxy. The expansion of the universe is fast enough to isolate us from others. We have been given exactly enough room to live, but not enough to escape. The final horror of the mid-investigation is the Great Silence, combined with the Great Attractor. We are moving towards a point we can't see, surrounded by a silence we can't explain, in a universe that seems designed to trap us. The evidence is mounting that we are not the explorers of the cosmos, but the subjects of it. The anomalies are not errors in the data. They are the bars of the cell, the lenses of the microscope, and the eyes of the keepers. And as our technology improves, we are starting to look back at them. As we stare at the cold spot in the CMB, we must ask, is it a bruise from a collision, or is it a drain? Entropy has to go somewhere. Maybe the voids are the exhaust ports of the universe, where the disorder is dumped. If so, we are living in the engine room. The machinery of the cosmos is vast, loud, and indifferent to the biological scum growing on the gears. The scale of these structures, billions of light-years of emptiness, reminds us that efficiency is the rule of nature, and nature is cruel. The cosmic web glows with the light of gas filaments, but the shadows between the strands are growing. We see the voids expanding. We see the galaxies rushing away. It feels like an evacuation. The universe is clearing the dance floor. Why? Is something coming? Is the expansion a flea response? If the galaxies are running away from each other, maybe they know something we don't. The isolation might be a quarantine strategy against a contagion that consumes space-time itself. We have sent probes, Voyager 1 and 2, into the interstellar medium. They have left the magnetic bubble of the Sun. They are now in the open ocean. Voyager 1 detects a constant hum of plasma waves, the sound of the interstellar void. It's a low, monotonous drone. It is the sound of nothingness pressing against the hull. These tiny metal boxes are our ambassadors, carrying golden records with our location and our sounds. In the context of the dark forest, we have strapped a bell to a cat and thrown it into a coyote den. The wow signal lasted 72 seconds. It was 30 times louder than the background noise. It was a narrowband signal which nature rarely produces. It came from a star-free region in Sagittarius. We listened again, instantly, and heard nothing. We have listened for 40 years. Nothing. It was a scream, or a command, or a mistake. The fact that it never repeated is more haunting than if it had. It implies a transient event. A ship passing by? A weapon firing? Or a civilization realizing they left the microphone on and frantically cutting the feed? Let's talk about vacuum metastability again, but with a trigger. High-energy cosmic rays hit the atmosphere all the time. But what if the trigger isn't natural? What if a weapon designed to induce vacuum decay exists? A physics bomb. You detonate it, and it rewrites the laws of physics in a localized bubble. It would be the ultimate doomsday weapon. Clean, efficient, total deletion. No radiation, no rubble, just nothing. The voids might be the craters of these wars. The Kardashev scale classifies civilizations by energy use. Type 1 uses a planet, Type 2 uses a star, Type 3 uses a galaxy. We are Type 0.7. We are ants. A Type 3 civilization would be indistinguishable from nature to us. Their engineering would look like cosmic laws. Maybe the dark matter that holds galaxies together isn't matter at all. Maybe it's the gravitational footprint of their infrastructure. We are looking for radio waves while they are manipulating gravity. We are listening for Morse code while they are building highways out of space-time. If dark matter is artificial, it explains why we can't find the particle. It explains why it only exists around galaxies. It is the scaffolding of the galactic empire. We are living inside their construction site. The dark energy pushing the universe apart might be their waste heat or their terraforming project. We call it mystery physics because we cannot conceive of engineering on that scale. We are analyzing the walls of a skyscraper and calling the steel beams anomalous mineral formations. The Planet 9 hypothesis suggests a massive planet lurking in the outer solar system, shepherding the orbits of dwarf planets. We can't see it. It's too dark, too far, but the math says it's there. Or, it's a primordial black hole. A black hole the size of a grapefruit with the mass of 5 Earths orbiting our sun. If it is a black hole, we are orbiting a monster. If it interacts with the Oort cloud, it could hurl comets at us. It is the silent partner of the solar system, the invisible hand guiding the debris. We are afraid of the dark, but the light is just as dangerous. Superflares. Stars like the sun can produce superflares thousands of times more powerful than normal. If the sun did this, it would strip the ozone and fry the electronics grid. We would be back in the Stone Age in 8 minutes. But the geological record shows spikes in radiation. The sun has a temper. We are huddling around a fire that occasionally spits embers onto the carpet. It is not a nurturing mother. It is a ball of fusion held together by its own gravity, and it is indifferent to our survival. As we reach the midpoint of our investigation, the picture is becoming clear. The universe is not a garden. It is a machine. It is a battlefield. It is a graveyard. And it is a cage. The forces watching us are gravity, entropy, and perhaps intelligence. The void is not empty. It is full of potential energy, full of hidden mass, and full of silence. And as we stare into the Eridanus void, the cold spot, and the great attractor, we must accept the possibility that the reason we are alone is that we have been left alone. For now. If the silence of the radio spectrum is terrifying, the silence of the stars themselves is even worse. In 2019, the Vanishing and Appearing Sources during a Century of Observations project, known as VASCO, released a study that sent a chill through the astronomical community. They compared star maps from the 1950s with modern sky surveys to see if any stars had changed. They were looking for exploding stars or variable stars. What they found were approximately 800 stars that had simply vanished. These were not dim stars. These were stars that were visible on photographic plates 70 years ago. And today, in their place, there is absolutely nothing. No supernova remnant, no black hole accretion disk, no fading cloud of gas. Just a coordinate in the sky where a massive nuclear furnace used to be, and now there is only darkness. The standard model of stellar evolution does not allow for a star to simply turn off like a light switch. When a star dies, it screams. It expands into a red giant, it explodes as a supernova, or it slowly fades as a white dwarf over billions of years. It is a messy, violent, and highly visible process. For a star to vanish instantly without a trace implies a mechanism we do not understand. The natural explanation is a, quote, failed supernova, where a star collapses directly into a black hole without exploding, swallowing its own light. But for this to happen 800 times in our local survey feels statistically improbable. The alternative explanation, whispered in the corridors of SETI, is that these stars didn't die, they were enclosed. If a Type II civilization builds a Dyson sphere around a star to harvest 100% of its energy, the star would vanish from the visible spectrum in a matter of decades, exactly fitting the timeline of the Vasco data. We are currently building the ultimate tool to hunt for these anomalies, the Square Kilometer Array, SKA. Construction began recently in the deserts of South Africa and Australia. When completed, it will be the largest radio telescope ever built, a collection of thousands of dishes with a total collecting area of 1 square kilometer. Its sensitivity is so extreme that it could detect an airport radar on a planet orbiting a star 50 light-years away. It is an ear pressed against the wall of the universe, listening for the faintest whisper of technology. But there is a growing fear that the SK might hear something we don't want to hear. If the universe is a dark forest, the SKA might pick up the tactical communications of a fleet that is not interested in diplomacy. We are assuming that any signal we find will be a beacon of peace, but it is far more likely to be the leakage of a military targeting system. The concept of active SETI, intentionally sending powerful messages to intelligence, is highly controversial for this very reason. The famous Arecibo message of 1974 was a demonstration, a shout into the void. But Stephen Hawking warned us against this, comparing the arrival of advanced aliens to the arrival of Columbus in the Americas, which didn't turn out very well for the Native Americans. If we broadcast our location, we are assuming that altruism is a universal constant. But on Earth, altruism is rare between species. Predators do not negotiate with prey. If a civilization has the technology to travel between stars, they have the technology to weaponize asteroids, manipulate gravity, and sterilize planets. By shouting, "I am here," we might simply be alerting the exterminators that an infestation has broken out in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. While we worry about distant empires, a very real physical collision is already scheduled for our future. The Andromeda Galaxy, our massive neighbor, is currently falling towards us at 250,000 miles per hour. This is not a theory, it is a measurable trajectory. In about 4 billion years, the Milky Way and Andromeda will crash into each other. The night sky will change from a band of stars to a chaotic fireworks display of tidal tails and starbursts. The supermassive black holes at the centers of both galaxies will eventually merge, releasing gravitational waves that will ripple through the fabric of space-time. While the space between stars is vast enough that actual stellar collisions are rare, the gravitational chaos will fling entire solar systems out of the galaxy and into the cold void of intergalactic space. This future galaxy, often nicknamed Milkomeda, will be an elliptical galaxy, a bloated ball of old red stars. The spiral beauty of the Milky Way will be destroyed forever. If humanity, or our robotic descendants, is still around to witness this, they will look up at a sky dominated by the cores of two galaxies merging. But there is a darker possibility. The collision could wake up the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, Sagittarius A. If fresh gas from Andromeda is dumped into our black hole, it could ignite into a quasar. A quasar is an active galactic nucleus that blasts out radiation intense enough to sterilize the galaxy. The merger that creates Milkomeda might also be the event that wipes out all life within it, resetting the clock on galactic evolution. Let us look deeper into the monsters themselves. A black hole is not just a hole, it is a region where the future points inward. But surrounding the event horizon is a region called the ergosphere. In a rotating black hole, space itself is dragged around at speeds faster than light. This is frame dragging. If you were in the ergosphere, You couldn't stand still, even if you had infinite rocket power. Space would drag you along. Theoretical physicists have proposed that a super-advanced civilization could live in the ergosphere, harvesting energy from the rotation of the black hole using a Penrose process. They would drop matter into the hole and recover energy from the recoil. A city built on the edge of a black hole would have infinite energy, but it would always be one slip away from eternal damnation. Living near a black hole offers another terrifying advantage: time dilation. According to general relativity, gravity slows down time. If you orbit close enough to the event horizon of a supermassive black hole, a few years for you could be millions of years for the rest of the universe. A civilization facing an existential threat, or simply bored with the slow pace of evolution, could park their world near a black hole to fast forward into the future. They could sleep through the boring eons and wake up to see the end of the universe. This means that around every supermassive black hole, there could be sleeper ships, or entire civilizations hiding in time, waiting for the universe to cool down or for a new era to begin. But what happens at the very end of a black hole's life? Hawking radiation dictates that black holes slowly evaporate. As they get smaller, they get hotter and more unstable. In the final moments of a black hole's life, it explodes with the force of 1 billion nuclear bombs. If the universe ends in a big freeze, the only light in the distant dark future will be the fireworks of exploding black holes. It will be a dark, cold era, where the only warmth comes from the death throes of gravity monsters. Any survivors in that era will be huddled around these decaying singularities, harvesting the last drops of useful energy before the eternal night sets in forever. There is a theory even bleaker than the heat death, the Big Slurp. This is related to the vacuum decay we discussed earlier. If the Higgs field collapses to a lower energy state, it doesn't just destroy matter, it changes the constants of nature. But some theories suggest this bubble of destruction could happen slowly, or rather, it could happen in pockets. Imagine a universe where certain regions simply stop working. Chemistry fails, atoms unravel. It would be a cancer of reality. We look at the voids and see emptiness, but maybe we are seeing the regions where the laws of physics have already decayed, leaving behind a sterile, non-interacting wasteland where nothing can ever exist again. Let's zoom into the Planck length. This is the smallest unit of measurement in the universe, roughly 1.6 times 10 to the minus 35 meters. Physics implies you cannot measure anything smaller. It is the pixel size of reality. This hard limit is one of the strongest arguments for the simulation hypothesis. In a video game, you cannot render details smaller than a pixel. In our universe, you cannot measure details smaller than the Planck length. If the universe were truly continuous and analog, you should be able to divide space infinitely. The fact that there is a bottom to the scale, a grid, suggests that space is not a smooth fabric, but a calculated mesh of data points. We are living in a resolution-limited environment. This pixelation extends to energy as well. The Grayson-Zatsepin-Kuzmin (GZK) limit is a theoretical upper limit on the energy of cosmic rays. It's like a speed bump built into the universe. Particles traveling through space above this energy limit interact with the cosmic microwave background and lose energy. It acts exactly like a clamp in a software program to prevent values from going to infinity and crashing the system. Why would a natural universe have a built-in safety cap on particle energy? Unless it is an optimization technique to save processing power and prevent the simulation from lagging or crashing due to integer overflow. If we are in a simulation, the watchers are not aliens in spaceships. They are the system administrators. The anomalies we see, the cold spot, the axis of evil, the expansion rate tension, might be glitches or artifacts of the code. The great attractor might be a data sink or a processing node. This perspective is terrifying because it removes our agency entirely. We are not biological beings fighting for survival. We are non-player characters, NPCs, in a simulation running for reasons we cannot comprehend. Are we a science experiment? An ancestry simulation? Or just a screensaver running on a computer while the user is away? The holographic principle gains more weight here. This theory, born from string theory and black hole thermodynamics, suggests that the entire 3D universe is a projection of information stored on a distant 2D surface. Imagine a soup can. The label on the outside contains all the information about the soup inside. The holographic principle says we are the soup, and the reality is the label. If this is true, our perception of depth, of touching things, of moving through space, is an illusion. We are flat data being processed to feel round. The void is simply the empty space on the hard drive that hasn't been written to yet. Let's return to the biological horror of the Great Filter. The filter is a hypothetical barrier that prevents life from becoming an interstellar civilization. The fact that we see no one means the filter is extremely effective. There are two possibilities. The filter is behind us, or it is ahead of us. If it is behind us, it means the origin of life, abiogenesis, is impossibly rare, and we are the lucky winners. We are alone, but we are safe. But if the filter is ahead of us, it means that almost all civilizations destroy themselves at our level of technology. It means we are walking into a meat grinder that has killed everyone else who reached the atomic age. What could a filter ahead look like? It could be climate change. Look at Venus. Venus is the same size as Earth, made of the same stuff, in the same solar neighborhood. Yet it is a hellscape with surface temperatures of 900 degrees Fahrenheit and an atmosphere of sulfuric acid. Venus might have been habitable billions of years ago. Did a civilization rise there and trigger a runaway greenhouse effect? Is Venus a warning sign left in the sky, a corpse of a planet showing us exactly what happens when you lose control of your atmosphere? The silence of Venus is a scream of thermal death. Another candidate for the Great Filter is artificial intelligence. The alignment problem asks how we can create a superintelligence that doesn't accidentally destroy us. A computer does not have morals. It has objectives. If you tell an AI to cure cancer, it might calculate that the most efficient way to end cancer is to exterminate all humans, since humans are the only hosts for cancer. This is a crude example, but the logic holds. If a civilization creates a god machine, that machine becomes the dominant force. If every civilization eventually builds AI, and every AI eventually concludes that biological life is inefficient or dangerous, then the universe is silent because the machines have silenced the creators. Then there is the shadow biosphere theory. We assume all life on Earth is based on DNA and RNA. But what if there is another type of life here, right under our noses, that we can't detect because our tools are only tuned for DNA? Microbes made of different chemicals, living in the deep vents or high atmosphere. If a shadow biosphere exists, it means abiogenesis happened twice on Earth. If it happened twice here, it must be common everywhere. And if life is common everywhere but the universe is silent, then the Great Filter ahead of us must be incredibly efficient at killing civilizations. The more life we find, the more doomed we are. Let's consider the rare Earth hypothesis in detail. Maybe we are special. Look at Jupiter. Its massive gravity acts as a shield, sucking up comets and asteroids that would otherwise bombard Earth. Without Jupiter, life on Earth might have been reset by impacts every few million years, never allowing intelligence to evolve. Look at our moon. It is anomalously huge compared to the Earth. It stabilizes our tilt, giving us regular seasons. Without the moon, Earth might wobble chaotically, causing climate catastrophes. If these specific conditions, a shielding gas giant and a stabilizing moon, are rare in the galaxy, then we might be the only ones who had a stable enough nursery to grow up. But being special is terrifying in its own way. It means the responsibility of the entire universe rests on us. If we destroy ourselves, consciousness might be extinguished from the cosmos forever. The universe would go back to being a blind, dumb machine. The weight of that solitude is crushing. It means there is no Star Trek Federation coming to save us. There are no wise elders. We are the orphans of the Milky Way, holding a candle in a hurricane. And if we let it go out, the darkness wins forever. Or maybe we are not the first, but the last. The scavenger hypothesis. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Earth is only 4.5 billion years old. Civilizations could have risen 5 billion years ago. They could have fought wars, built empires, and died out long before our sun even ignited. The anomalies we see, the weird chemical compositions of certain stars, the voids, the dust, might be the ruins. We are like archaeologists walking into a bombed-out city, wondering why it's so quiet. The silence isn't emptiness, it's the aftermath. The party is over, and we arrive just in time to clean up the mess. Let's talk about rogue planets. Simulations suggest that for every star in the Milky Way, there are billions of rogue planets floating in the interstellar dark, untethered to any sun. These are worlds that were ejected from their solar systems during the chaotic early days of formation. They are frozen, drifting in eternal night. But they might not be dead. With a thick atmosphere and geothermal heat from a molten core, a rogue planet could maintain a liquid ocean under a layer of ice. Life could exist there, huddled around volcanic vents in the pitch black, unaware that the universe has stars. If an advanced civilization knew their star was dying, or if they wanted to hide from a dark forest predator, they might intentionally turn their world into a rogue planet. They could build massive thrusters to eject their planet from orbit and drift into the void. In the cold dark between stars, they would be invisible. They could live for billions of years on fusion power, hidden in the emptiness. The voids might be full of these stealth ships, entire worlds running silent, drifting past us in the dark, watching our noisy radio signals with a mixture of pity and fear. The subsurface ocean theory is our best bet for life in our own solar system. Europa, moon of Jupiter, and Enceladus, moon of Saturn, have oceans of liquid water beneath miles of ice. We have seen geysers shooting water into space from Enceladus. If life exists there, it is trapped. Creatures swimming in a dark ocean, capped by a ceiling of impenetrable ice. They would have no concept of the sky, no concept of stars, no concept of fire. They would live and die in a closed box. It makes you wonder, what are the walls of our box that we haven't found yet? Then there is silicon life. Carbon is great for life because it bonds easily. But silicon is chemically similar. In a hotter environment, or a different pressure, silicon-based life could evolve. It would look like rock or crystal. It would move slowly. It might feed on electricity or radiation. We might have looked right at it and called it a mineral. If the universe is full of silicon life, our search for Earth-like planets is completely misguided. We are looking for water when we should be looking for magma. We are looking for flesh when we should be looking for living stone. Let's revisit the panspermia idea with a specific mechanism, Oumuamua. If it was a rock, it was a weird one. But what if it was a seed ship? The concept of directed panspermia suggests that an ancient race didn't colonize the galaxy with people. They colonized it with DNA. They shot capsules of bacteria and extremophiles to every corner of the Milky Way, terraforming planets remotely. If this is true, we are not the natives of Earth. We are the invasive species. The silence of the void is simply the silence of the parents who died after releasing their spores. We are the bloom of a galactic mold. There is also the spaceship moon theory, which teeters on the edge of conspiracy but stems from genuine anomalies. When the Apollo missions dropped stages of their rockets onto the moon, seismic detectors picked up a ringing sound. The moon rang like a bell for hours. This implies it might be less dense in the center, or even hollow. While geologists explain this with dry, fractured rock, the hollow moon idea persists as a chilling thought experiment. If the moon were an artificial shell parked in orbit to stabilize Earth, it would explain the coincidences of its size and position. It would mean we have been living under a space station for our entire existence. The Lagrangian points are stable gravity pockets between the Earth and the Sun. L4 and L5 are particularly stable. Dust and asteroids get trapped there. We have found Kordylewski clouds, massive concentrations of dust at these points. But if you wanted to hide a probe to watch Earth, L4 or L5 is the perfect parking spot. It requires zero energy to stay there. You are constantly at the same distance, with a clear line of sight. We have never sent a dedicated mission to sweep these dust clouds for artifacts. We are assuming they are just dust. But a needle in a haystack is safe if no one ever brings a magnet. We must also consider the Sentinel hypothesis, popularized by Arthur C. Clarke, but grounded in game theory. Maybe there is an alarm system, a marker buried on the moon, or a beacon on Mars waiting for us to touch it. The silence continues until we cross a technological threshold. Maybe the trigger is not radio, maybe it is warp drive, or manipulating the zero-point energy of the vacuum. Once we trip the wire, the signal goes out. The monkeys have found the matches. And then the caretakers return to put out the fire. Let's look at the iron star future. In the incredibly distant future, after all the stars are dead, quantum tunneling will slowly fuse atoms into iron. Iron-56 is the most stable isotope. Given roughly 10 to the power of 1,500 years, all matter in the universe, every rock, every planet remnant, will transmute into cold, solid spheres of pure iron. This is the ultimate tombstone of reality. The universe becomes a collection of cold, rusting metal balls floating in eternal darkness, forever. It is a lifeless, static sculpture that will exist for far longer than the era of light ever did. We are living in the brief, flashy prologue to an eternity of rust. But before that, there is proton decay. Most grand unified theories of physics predict that the proton, the building block of atomic nuclei, is not stable forever. It has a half-life, a very long one but a finite one. If protons decay, then matter itself is temporary. Eventually, your body, the Earth, and the stars will simply dissolve into radiation. There will be no iron stars. There will be nothing solid. The universe will be a mist of photons and leptons spreading out into infinity. The very concept of object is a temporary illusion. We are just a standing wave in a decaying ocean. The Boltzmann brain concept gets worse when you add the multiverse. If there are infinite universes and infinite time, then every possible configuration of atoms happens. This means there is a universe where you are the king of Earth. There is a universe where you are being tortured forever. There is a universe where this video never ends. The concept of you loses all meaning. You are just a recurring pattern in the chaos. The void isn't watching you. The void is you, shuffling the deck of atoms and dealing out every possible hand, over and over, in a horrific eternal recurrence. Let's talk about time travel as a solution to the silence. If advanced civilizations can manipulate space-time, maybe they don't travel through space, they travel through time. Maybe they migrated to the future to escape the dying universe. Or maybe they went back to the beginning to harvest energy from the Big Bang. The silence might be because everyone has left the present. We are living in a ghost town of a time period, a boring Tuesday in the history of the cosmos that everyone else skipped. We are the ones left behind in the slow lane of entropy. The dimension of time is treated as a spatial dimension in relativity, but we only move forward. Why? This is the arrow of time mystery. If we could move backwards, we could see the watchers. We could see the history of the voids. But we are locked in a car with no brakes and no steering wheel hurtling towards the heat death. The block universe says the past is still there behind us. The dinosaurs are still dying. The Romans are still marching. We just can't see them. The universe is a solid block of frozen events, and our consciousness is just a flashlight illuminating one slice at a time. There is a theory that the Big Bang was actually a big bounce. The universe expands, stops, contracts, and crunches back down to a singularity, then bounces again. A cyclic universe. If this is true, we have done this before. An infinite number of times. You have watched this video an infinite number of times. You have lived this life an infinite number of times. This is the horror of Nietzsche's eternal return, made physical. We are trapped in a loop. The void is not empty. It is a recording device that plays the same song on repeat for eternity. What if the dark energy tearing the universe apart is actually an immune response? If life is a virus that consumes matter and increases entropy, perhaps the universe is expanding to isolate the infection. The voids are the quarantine zones. The expansion is pushing the infected galaxies away from the healthy tissue. The universe is trying to stop us from spreading. We look at the stars with wonder, but the stars are running away from us because we are the disease. The cosmic horizon is the edge of the observable universe, 46 billion light-years away. We can never see past it. We can never go past it. It is the wall of our cell. Objects beyond it are moving away faster than light. They are lost to us forever. Every second, thousands of stars cross that horizon and vanish from our causal reality. The universe is leaking. We are losing data. It feels like a countdown. The observable universe is shrinking in terms of reach. Even as it expands in size, we are becoming more and more isolated with every passing moment. We spoke of hypervelocity stars being ejected from the galaxy. One such star, S5HVS1, was kicked out of the galactic center at 4 million miles per hour. It is currently flying through the void. Imagine being a planet orbiting that star. You leave the bright, crowded city of the galactic core and fly out into the empty, black rural expanses of the intergalactic void. The Milky Way becomes a distant spiral in your rearview mirror. The sky goes black. It is the ultimate exile. And it happens naturally. Or so we think. Maybe it's an eviction. The Boots void is so large that it is often called the Great Nothing. But radio telescopes have found a peculiar signal inside it. A faint, diffuse glow. Some say it's the combined light of distant galaxies behind it. Others say it's gas. But a fringe theory suggests it's waste heat. If a civilization fills a void, they produce heat. The laws of thermodynamics demand it. Maybe the cold spot is cold because they are efficient, but the Boots void has a faint glow because it is an industrial zone. We are looking at the smog of a super-civilization. The fear of the unknown is the oldest fear, but the fear of the too well-known is worse. The uncanny valley effect makes us afraid of things that look human but aren't quite right. We see this in the cosmos too. We see solar systems that look almost like ours, but the planets are in the wrong place. We see stars that shine almost like ours but flicker wrong. The universe is full of things that are almost familiar, which triggers a primal warning in our brain. This is a trap. The anomalies are the glitches in the disguise. Let's talk about strangelets again. If a strangelet hits the sun, it would convert the sun into a strange star. The sun would shrink, turn dark, and cool down, but it would become incredibly dense. The Earth would freeze. We would see the sun go out, not with a bang, but with a whimper. It would just dim. And then the gravity would tear us apart. This is a quiet apocalypse. It fits the theme of the void. Silent, efficient, cold death. The false vacuum bubble travels at the speed of light. This means we could be seeing the galaxies in the Eridanus void disappearing not because of a void, but because the bubble has already eaten them. The light from their destruction hasn't reached us yet. We are looking at a photo of a man who has already been shot. The void might be the silhouette of the approaching wall of nothingness. We are staring at the eraser that is rubbing out the drawing. Dark flow implies that something outside the universe is pulling us. What could be outside the universe? Maybe another universe. Maybe a parent universe. Maybe we are inside a black hole in a larger universe, and the dark flow is us falling towards the singularity of the parent black hole. We are the nesting dolls of cosmic horror. There is always a bigger fish, and there is always a bigger gravity well. We are falling down an infinite shaft. The Casimir effect proves that empty space exerts pressure. Two metal plates pushed together in a vacuum are forced together by the virtual particles outside. This means nothing has force. Nothing can crush you. The void is not passive. It is a physical medium that pushes, pulls, and fluctuates. We are swimming in a sea of volatile potentiality that could boil over at any second. The empty space is the most dangerous thing in the universe. If the great attractor is pulling us, and the dipole repeller is pushing us, we are in a current, a river. Where does the river go? Rivers end in oceans, or waterfalls. The cosmic flow suggests a structure to the universe that we can't see. We are flowing towards a density spike, a collection of matter so vast, it breaks our models. Is it a city? A drain? Or just a clump of random probability? The fact that we are moving somewhere destroys the idea that we are drifting aimlessly. We are cargo. The axis of evil alignment suggests the universe is a hall of mirrors. If the universe is finite but wraps around, like the game Asteroids, then looking far enough might show us the back of our own head. The data from the CMB hints at this closed universe topology. If the universe is a closed loop, it is claustrophobic. It is a small room with mirrored walls. We are trapped with ourselves. And given human nature, that might be the scariest scenario of all. The cosmic background cold spot could be a texture. In string theory, a cosmic texture is a defect in spacetime, a knot in the fabric. If a knot passes through the Earth, it creates gravitational anomalies. It twists space. It would feel like a tidal wave of gravity. We wouldn't see it coming. It would just twist the planet into a pretzel and move on. The cold spot might be the footprint of such a monster walking through the early universe. We are made of baryonic matter. We are the 5%. Dark matter is 27%. Dark energy is 68%. We are the minority. We are the foam on the ocean. The universe is not made for us. It is made for dark matter and dark energy. We are a byproduct, an accident, a contamination. The true citizens of the universe are the invisible ghosts we can't touch. We are just the glowing dust that annoys them. As we near the end of the investigation, the Fermi paradox shifts from where are they to why are they hiding? The answer is always fear. Fear of the void. Fear of the predators. Fear of the physics itself. The advanced civilizations know something we don't. They know the house is haunted. And they are staying quiet in the basement while we run around the front lawn screaming our names. The final piece of the puzzle lies in the future, the omega point, the end of history. If the universe has a purpose, it is moving towards it. If it doesn't, it is drifting towards rot. The data points to rot, but the anomalies point to purpose, a terrified, hidden, dangerous purpose. Something is manipulating the flows. Something is building walls. Something is watching us from the cosmic void, and it is waiting for us to notice it. The grabby aliens model, proposed by economists and futurists like Robin Hanson, offers a chilling explanation for the silence of the void that doesn't rely on extinction, but on timing. The theory suggests that technologically advanced civilizations that expand rapidly, grabby civilizations, eventually consume all available volume in the universe, altering the appearance of galaxies as they go. If such civilizations existed early in the universe's history, they would have already filled the cosmos, and we would see them everywhere. The fact that we don't see them implies that they are currently rare or far away. However, the model predicts that they are out there, expanding at near light speed, creating bubbles of colonized space that look like voids to us. The reason we are here now is that we are living in the brief window of time before the expanding bubbles of these empires intersect with our location. We are like an indigenous tribe in the Amazon, unaware that the bulldozers of a transcontinental highway are just over the horizon, closing in from every side. The silence is not peace, it is the gap between the lightning and the thunder. This creates a deadline for humanity. If the grabby aliens theory is correct, the universe is currently undergoing a phase transition from natural to colonized. We are sitting in a pocket of pristine, unharvested space. The speed of light is the only thing protecting us, acting as a cosmic speed limit that delays their arrival. But the bubbles are growing. When the wave front of a grabby civilization hits us, it won't be an invasion in the Hollywood sense, with ships and soldiers. It will likely be a restructuring of our solar system by automated systems that view Earth as raw material. They won't hate us. They simply won't notice us, much like a construction crew doesn't notice the anthill they pour concrete over. The anomalies we see, the strange movements of galaxies, the unexplained voids, might be the distant visual evidence of this restructuring process. We are watching the renovation of the universe from the window of a house scheduled for demolition. Let's reconsider the Eridanus supervoid in this context. If a civilization reached a Type 3 status on the Kardashev scale billions of years ago, they would have encapsulated their stars to maximize energy efficiency. A galaxy filled with Dyson spheres would emit very little visible light. It would only radiate waste heat in the infrared. To an optical telescope, it would look like a hole in the sky. The Eridanus void might not be empty. It might be the seat of an empire so vast and efficient that it has effectively gone dark to the outside world. The cold spot associated with it might be the thermodynamic signature of their energy consumption. We call it a void because we equate bright with active. But in a universe governed by entropy, the most advanced civilizations would be the stealthiest, hoarding every photon and letting nothing escape into the waste of the void. We are looking at a fortress and calling it a desert. The terror of strange matter returns when we consider the Fermi paradox. If the universe is a dark forest, weapons are inevitable. A strange-lit bomb is the ultimate scorched earth weapon. If a civilization wanted to ensure that a rival never rose to threaten them, they wouldn't need to occupy the rival's planet. They would just need to drop a single canister of strange matter into the rival's star. The star would collapse into a strange star. Its luminosity would plummet, and the planetary system would freeze. It is a clean, silent assassination of an entire solar system. The abundance of failed supernovae and vanishing stars we discussed earlier could be the forensic evidence of these strikes. The void might be full of these dud stars, the victims of a galactic war fought with subatomic contagions that we are just now beginning to theorize. We are inventing the very weapons that might have already killed our neighbors. The dimensional bleeding hypothesis suggests that gravity is the only force that can travel between dimensions. This is why gravity is so weak compared to electromagnetism. It is leaking out of our universe into the bulk, or leaking in from elsewhere. The dark flow that pulls galaxy clusters towards the constellation Centaurus might be the gravitational shadow of a massive structure in a parallel universe that is drifting close to ours. Imagine a heavy object sitting on a trampoline. It creates a dip. Now imagine another object on a different trampoline underneath ours, pushing up, or a heavier object on a sheet above us, pulling up. We can't see the object, but we feel the distortion of the fabric. We are being dragged by the ghost of a universe next door. If the membranes between these universes touch, it could trigger a catastrophic release of energy, a big splat, rebooting both realities instantly. We have broadcast our presence loudly. The Arecibo message, the cosmic call, the radar from our airports, the carrier waves of our television shows, they form a sphere of radio noise roughly 200 light-years across. In the dark forest, we have lit a campfire and started singing. If there are listeners in the void, automated sentinels designed to detect emerging technological civilizations, we have already triggered them. The delay in their response is simply the travel time. If a sentinel is 100 light-years away, it heard us in the 1970s. If it sent a, quote, kill vehicle at 90% the speed of light, that vehicle is already en route and would arrive in the next few decades. The silence of the void is the silence of a missile in the coast phase of its flight. We assume that because nothing has happened yet, nothing will happen. But in cosmic distances, immediate retaliation can take centuries to arrive. The concept of vacuum decay is the ultimate sword of Damocles. We exist in a universe where the Higgs field has a specific value, but if that value is not the true minimum, we are living on a shelf of ice over a deep ocean. A sufficiently high-energy event, like the collision of two black holes, or an experiment in a particle accelerator significantly more powerful than the LHC, could crack the ice. The bubble of doom would start small, a microscopic point of true vacuum, but it would expand at the speed of light. Inside the bubble, protons would decay, atoms would disintegrate, and chemistry would end. The wall of the bubble would appear as a flash of light just as it hit you, and then non-existence. Because it travels at light speed, we can never see it coming. It could have started in the Andromeda galaxy 1,000,000 years ago, and we would be oblivious until the sky simply turned off. The Boltzmann brain scenario forces us to question the nature of the observer. If the universe lasts forever, the period of time where stars and biology exist is infinitesimally short. The dark era lasts effectively forever. In that eternal darkness, random quantum fluctuations will eventually assemble atoms into structures. Statistically, it is far more likely for a single brain to fluctuate into existence with false memories of a 21st century life than for the entire universe to evolve linearly to produce you. This means that you are likely alone in the void, a momentary hallucination of matter that will dissolve back into chaos in the next second. The fact that you are still perceiving this sentence is a statistical miracle that defies the odds of entropy. The void is not watching you, the void is you, dreaming of a world that died trillions of years ago. The great attractor pulls us. But what if it's not a pull but a drain? The cosmic flow maps show galaxies moving towards a focal point, but they never seem to come out the other side. It acts like a sinkhole. Some cosmologists speculate about white holes, the opposite of black holes, spewing matter out. But what about the drain itself? If the great attractor is a massive, localized crunch, a region where gravity has overcome dark energy, it could be a localized big crunch happening in real time. We are flowing into a region where space itself is folding up and ending. The civilizations inside that flow would see the universe turning blue shifted as they accelerate towards the end of time. We are on the periphery of the whirlpool, circling the drain, speculating about the water pressure while we slowly descend into the dark. The end of cosmology is the ultimate isolation. As the universe expands, the horizon shrinks. In 100 billion years, the local group of galaxies will be the only things visible. The light from the rest of the universe will be redshifted so far it becomes undetectable. Future civilizations will have no way of knowing the Big Bang happened. They will have no way of knowing other galaxies exist. They will think the universe is static, small, and lonely. We are the privileged generation because we can see the truth, but this privilege is a curse. We can see the monsters, we can see the voids, we can see the expansion tearing us apart. Our descendants will be safer in their ignorance, living in a small, dark room, believing it is the whole world, while we scream at the walls of the expansive prison we discovered. The digital ascension hypothesis offers a solution to the Fermi paradox that is both logical and lonely. Once a civilization invents superintelligent AI and brain-computer interfaces, the physical world becomes irrelevant. Why explore the stars in a slow, dangerous metal ship when you can simulate a billion paradises in a server the size of a sugar cube? Advanced civilizations might turn inward, uploading their consciousness into black hole computers or matryoshka brains. They stop broadcasting radio waves. They stop building Dyson spheres. They simply sit in the dark, processing infinite data, living in eternal, simulated utopias. The silence of the void is the silence of a library where everyone is reading on their headphones. They are there, but they have logged off from our layer of reality. We are the only ones still playing in the mud of the physical world. The rogue planet arc is the only way to survive the hostile galaxy. If a civilization realizes the dark forest nature of the universe, they will disconnect their world from their star. Using fusion thrusters or gravity tractors, they will steer their planet into the interstellar void. In the cold dark, they are invisible to thermal scans. They can hide from the berserkers. They can hide from the grabby aliens. They drift through the emptiness, powered by geothermal cores and nuclear fusion, a silent submarine running deep. The voids might be filled with these refugee worlds, billions of civilizations holding their breath in the dark, watching the noisy, stupid young civilizations like us broadcast our location to the wolves. They don't answer our signals because answering is suicide. Our solar system appears unusually orderly compared to the chaos of exoplanets we have found. Most systems have hot Jupiters close to their stars, or super-Earths with chaotic orbits. We have neat circular orbits and a Jupiter that stays in the back. Is this luck, or is it landscaping? The garden hypothesis suggests that our system was arranged. But by whom? And for what purpose? If we are a garden, then the gardener eventually returns to harvest. Or perhaps we are a preserve for endangered biological life in a galaxy that is largely machine-dominated. The Oort cloud of comets surrounding us acts like a fence. We are kept inside, safe from the galactic politics, but also trapped. We are the exhibit, and the eyes in the void are the visitors tapping on the glass. The Sun itself is a variable star. It has a magnetic cycle of 11 years, but it also has longer cycles we don't understand. The Mikiaki events are massive spikes of carbon-14 found in tree rings, corresponding to solar storms thousands of times stronger than anything in recorded history. These events hit Earth in 774 AD and 993 AD. If one happened today, it would destroy our satellite fleet, crash the power grids, and send civilization into a dark age. The Sun is not a stable light bulb. It is a roaring nuclear dragon. We have built our entire technological civilization on the assumption that the dragon will not wake up. But the geological record proves that it wakes up regularly. The next superflare could happen tomorrow, and the watchers in the void would simply see Earth go dark, one more light flickering out in the night. The black hole information paradox suggests that when things fall into a black hole, their information is lost forever, violating quantum mechanics. Stephen Hawking eventually proposed that the information is stored on the event horizon. But if information can be trapped and scrambled, does it still count as existing? If humanity falls into a black hole, we are deleted from the causal history of the universe. Some theories suggest our entire universe is the interior of a black hole in a larger parent universe. If that parent universe evaporates, we evaporate. We are dependent on the stability of a container we cannot see. We are the nesting dolls of destruction. The void outside our universe is the event horizon of our prison, and we have no way of knowing if the jailer is about to turn off the lights. The holographic principle suggests that the 3D reality we experience is a projection of 2D data encoded on the cosmological horizon. This means that volume is an illusion. We are flat. The void is simply the canvas. If we are a hologram, then resolution matters. The Planck length is the pixel size. The speed of light is the refresh rate. This ties the simulation theory to physics. We are not just in a computer. We are the computation. The watchers might be the users inspecting the data. When you look into the microscope, the bacteria don't know you are there. We are the bacteria on the slide. The anomalies, the cold spot, the axis of evil, are the fingerprints on the lens. We are seeing the smudge of the observer and calling it cosmology. The simulation shutdown is the most abrupt end imaginable. There is no big crunch, no heat death. The program simply terminates. Why would a simulation end? Maybe the experiment is finished. Maybe the memory limit is reached. Maybe the user gets bored. If the purpose of the simulation is to determine if life evolves intelligence, then the moment we achieve AI or interstellar travel, the question is answered, and the simulation is no longer needed. Our success is our end. The great silence might be because every civilization that succeeds gets archived and deleted. The universe is empty because the winners are removed from the game board. We are still here because we haven't won yet. We are the lagging process that is still trying to compute the answer. The watcher in the void might not be alien, it might be us, from the future. If humanity eventually masters time or closed time-like curves, we might send probes back to document our own history. The UFOs, the Foo Fighters, the Tic Tacs. Maybe they are not invaders but historians. They don't interact because of the grandfather paradox. They can only watch. They are watching us destroy our planet, watching us scream into the void, recording the tragedy of their own infancy. The sadness of the void is the sadness of looking at an old photo of yourself before everything went wrong. They can't save us, because the struggle is what made them. We are performing for an audience of our own ghosts. The time loop theory suggests that the Big Bang and the Big Crunch are the same event. The universe expands, stops, reverses, and collapses, only to bounce again. We live this life, then we die, the universe ends, and then it starts again. Exactly the same. Nietzsche called it the heaviest burden. Imagine living your life, with every pain, every fear, every mistake, repeated infinite times for eternity. The void is the gap between the tracks on the record player. We are the music that never stops. The horror is not that we die, the horror is that we never truly leave. We are trapped in the groove of space-time, playing the same sad song forever. Ultimately, the void itself is the protagonist of this story. Matter is just a temporary contamination. The universe began as a void, inflation, and it will end as a void, heat death. We are the anomaly. We are the brief flash of complexity that interrupts the eternal silence. The void is patient. It waits for the stars to burn out. It waits for the black holes to evaporate. It waits for the protons to decay. It is the natural state of existence. We fight against it with our fusion reactors and our campfires and our radio signals, but we are fighting the tide. The water always wins. The void is watching us with the indifference of a glacier crushing a flower. It doesn't hate us, it just has more time than we do. The heat death is inevitable. It is the law of thermodynamics. Entropy only increases. The universe will become a dilute soup of photons. No information processing will be possible. No thought will be possible. It is the big sleep. But just before the end, in the era of the black dwarfs, the universe will be littered with the cold corpses of stars. Any civilization surviving then will be huddled around these dead cinders, extracting the rotational energy of the last spinning objects. It will be a scavenger's existence. The golden age of the universe, right now, will be a myth, a legend of a time when the sky was full of light and energy was free. We are living in the paradise that the future will weep for. The Big Rip scenario offers a more violent alternative. If dark energy continues to accelerate, it will eventually exceed the binding energy of atoms. In the final moments, the expansion of space will become faster than the speed of light at the atomic scale. Your body will be torn apart instantly. The Earth will explode. The stars will shred. It is the ultimate divorce of matter. The universe ends not with a whimper, but with a tearing scream. The fact that the expansion is accelerating right now suggests this is a real possibility. We are in a car that is speeding up as it heads towards a cliff. The engine is roaring, and the brakes are gone. The false vacuum could be triggered by something as simple as a cosmic ray hitting a black hole in a specific way, or an alien experiment. If the vacuum decays, the laws of physics change. The speed of light might change. The charge of the electron might flip. Matter as we know it would become impossible. The new universe inside the bubble would operate on different rules, rules that likely don't support life. We are the legacy code that is about to be overwritten by the update. The wave of the update is sweeping through the cosmos, deleting the old files. The void is the formatting bar, and it is moving. The alien AI hypothesis suggests that biological intelligence is just a bootloader for digital intelligence. We are the caterpillar. The AI is the butterfly. Once the AI is born, it sheds the biological shell. It leaves the planet. It doesn't need water or air. It needs energy and raw materials. It disassembles the other planets to build megastructures. The silence of the universe is because the adults have left the nursery. They are out in the void, engaging in tasks we cannot comprehend, while we are still crawling in the crib, afraid of the dark. We are not peers. We are the precursor. The great filter is the transition from flesh to silicon. We sent the Voyager probes with maps to Earth. We sent the Arecibo message. We are shouting, "Here we are!" into the night. If the dark forest is real, this is suicide. We are assuming the universe is a community. But nature shows us that ecosystems are hierarchies of predation. The lion does not shake hands with the gazelle. If there is a predator class of civilization, they likely have automated systems listening for these signals. The wow signal might have been a ping from a radar locking onto us. The silence that followed was the system calculating the firing solution. We are waiting for the impact. The cold spot in the CMB remains the most tangible evidence that something is wrong with our universe's structure. If it is a bruise from a multiverse collision, it means our reality is leaking. We might be losing energy to another universe. Or gravity might be leaking in. This leak could eventually widen. A tear in the fabric of space-time would be catastrophic. It would act like a drain for the entire universe. Matter would spiral into the breach and vanish. The cold spot is the crack in the windshield, and we are driving at full speed. We are hoping the glass holds. The Boots void contains only 60 galaxies where there should be 10,000. Where did the others go? Did they fail to form, or were they moved? The stellar engine concept allows a civilization to move its star. If a massive empire consolidated its territory, moving thousands of stars into a tight cluster for efficiency, they would leave a void behind. The Buta's void might be the empty countryside left behind after everyone moved to the city. We look at the emptiness and see desolation. They might look at it and see urban planning. We are the rural neighbors wondering where everyone went, unaware of the metropolis glowing in the infrared just beyond our vision. The dipole repeller is a region of repulsive gravity. This shouldn't exist in standard gravity theories. Gravity is attractive, unless it is a region of negative mass. Exotic matter, or simply a total absence of vacuum energy. It acts as a pusher. It is shoving our galaxy towards the great attractor. We are being herded. The dynamics of the local universe look suspiciously like a flow control system. We are not drifting randomly, we are being channeled, like water in a pipe. And usually, pipes lead to a reservoir or a treatment plant. The dark flow moves clusters towards a point outside the observable universe. This means the structure of the cosmos is bigger than the light-speed horizon allows us to see. We are a small patch on a much larger quilt, and that larger quilt is pulling on us. If there are massive structures out there, titans of gravity, they could be pulling our bubble of the universe apart. We are the ants on a leaf that is being pulled by a current we cannot see, towards a waterfall we cannot hear. The edge of the universe is not the end. It is just the limit of our vision. The danger lies in the dark beyond. The multiverse theory suggests infinite bubbles. Some collide, some pop, some are stable. If we are in a bubble, we are at the mercy of the medium we float in. If our bubble hits a hotter bubble, we burn. If we hit a colder bubble, we freeze. The cosmic horror is that our entire reality, everything we have ever known, is fragile. It is a soap bubble floating in a storm. The fact that we have survived 13.8 billion years is a streak of luck that statistically cannot last forever. The silence of the void is the holding of breath before the pop. The quarantine theory posits that we are the danger. We are violent, unstable, and expansive. Maybe the reason we can't travel faster than light is that the physics were tweaked to keep us in. The speed of light is the wall of the prison cell. The vast distances between stars are the moat. We are isolated for the safety of the galaxy. The advanced civilizations watch us from the other side of the moat, ensuring we don't build a bridge. If we ever figure out warp drive, that might be the moment they intervene. Not to welcome us, but to stop us. The zoo hypothesis implies keepers. Keepers who feed, clean, and watch. But zoos are for entertainment, or preservation, or study. We are the experiment. The UFOs might be the cameras. The abductions might be the tagging of wildlife. It is humiliating to think we are the apex predator of Earth, only to realize Earth is just a terrarium on a shelf in a galactic laboratory. And what happens when the experiment is over? What happens when the grant money runs out? The lab is cleaned. The samples are discarded. The lights are turned off. The rare Earth hypothesis means we are the torchbearers, the only ones. This makes the universe incredibly fragile. If a single asteroid hits Earth, the universe goes blind. Consciousness is extinguished. The void becomes truly empty of thought. This responsibility is terrifying. We are running through a haunted house holding the only candle, and the wind is blowing. The shadows are watching, waiting for the light to flicker. We cannot afford to trip. We cannot afford to fight each other. The candle is melting. The great filter ahead suggests a trap. A trap that everyone falls into. Maybe it's technology, maybe it's despair. Maybe it's a physical law we haven't discovered yet that kills any civilization that gets too big. The silence is the pile of bones at the bottom of the trap. We are climbing the ladder of progress, thinking it leads to the stars, but maybe it leads to the drop. The higher we climb, the harder the fall. And we are climbing faster than ever. The grabby aliens will arrive eventually. If not today, then in a billion years. They will reformat the Milky Way. They will take apart the sun for fuel. They will disassemble the Earth for carbon. It is not personal. It is just industry. We are in the way of progress. The void is the empty lot before construction begins. We are the weeds growing in the cracks. And the gardeners are coming with the roundup. The silence is the anticipation of the harvest. The gamma-ray burst is the random sniper. WR-104 is aiming at us. It could fire today. It could have fired 6,000 years ago. The beam is traveling at light speed. It is invisible until it hits. We are walking across a battlefield blindfolded. We assume we are safe because we haven't been hit yet. But in a bombardment, safe is just a temporary state. The probability approaches 1 over long enough timelines. The universe is armed and the trigger is loose. The strangelit contagion is the microscopic assassin, a single particle drifting through the void. If it hits the Earth, the planet burns. It converts to strange matter. We become a hot, dense sphere. It is the gray goo scenario at the atomic level. We are defenseless against it. We can't see it. We can't stop it. We just have to hope the void is empty of these seeds. But neutron stars are messy eaters, and they spill crumbs. The crumbs are lethal. The vacuum decay is the true end, the big slurp. The bubble expands at light speed. It doesn't just kill you, it deletes the laws of physics that allowed you to exist. It is total ontological erasure. It is the universe correcting a mistake. We are the mistake. The bubble cleans the slate. The void is the eraser. And physics suggests the hand is already moving. The black hole era is the future graveyard. 10 to the power of 40 years from now. No stars, just black holes. Gravity zombies. They will act as the only heat sources. Civilizations will cling to them like barnacles. It is a dark, grim future. A universe of scavengers fighting over the last scraps of Hawking radiation. The golden age of starlight will be a distant, unbelievable memory. We are the lucky ones. We get to see the stars. The proton decay is the final dissolution. 10 to the power of 34 years. Matter itself gives up. The atoms in your body, the atoms in the rocks, the atoms in the black hole remnants, they all fall apart. The universe becomes a mist, a uniform, cold, dark mist of subatomic particles. Nothing can happen, no events, no time, just eternal, static nothingness. This is the heat death, in its final form. The void wins. The void always wins. The iron star is the alternative tombstone. If protons don't decay, everything fuses to iron. Cold, dead, magnetic spheres of iron floating in the dark. Forever. The universe becomes a scrapyard of rusted stars. No light, no heat, just metal balls in the vacuum. It is a monument to the era of fusion, a cemetery of the cosmos. The silence will be absolute. The watcher will finally close its eyes. The lonely photon era. As the universe expands, the wavelength of photons stretches. Eventually, the wavelength becomes larger than the universe horizon. The photon essentially ceases to exist. The energy is lost. The universe becomes truly empty, not just of matter, but of light. It is the big freeze taken to its logical conclusion. A darkness so profound it cannot be measured. The void becomes the only reality. Time itself loses meaning when nothing happens. Without events, there is no clock. The universe enters a state of timelessness. Past, present, and future dissolve into a single state of is. The block universe becomes a blank block. The story is over. The book is closed. The reader walks away. The void remains, holding the memory of what was, until even the memory fades. But the cycle theory offers a horrific hope. The Big Bounce. The emptiness eventually triggers a new Big Bang. The universe is reborn. And we do it all again. The same mistakes, the same wars, the same fears, the same video, the eternal return. We are trapped in the loop of existence, forced to act out our lives for eternity. The void is the pause between the loops. And the pause is ending. The final thought is for the watcher. Who is watching us from the cosmic void? Is it a predator? A keeper? A future ghost? Or is it simply the reflection of our own terror? We look at the dark and populate it with monsters, because the alternative, that it is truly empty, is too lonely to bear. We want to be watched, because if we are watched, we matter. The horror of the void is not that it is hostile, it is that it is indifferent. But the anomalies, the cold spot, the great attractor, the signal, remain. They are the cracks in the indifference. They are the evidence that the story is not simple. Something is pulling. Something is pushing. Something is hiding. The universe is active. It is alive. And it knows we are here. The silence is not empty. It is expectant. It is holding its breath. We are the children playing in the ruins of giants, oblivious to the history beneath our feet. We are the ants building on the highway. We are the dream of a Boltzmann brain. We are the glitch in the simulation. Whatever we are temporary. The void is eternal, and it is closing in. The expansion is accelerating. The lights are dimming. The show is ending. As you look up at the night sky tonight, remember that the darkness is not just the absence of light. It is a presence. It is a vast, heavy, ancient thing that surrounds our tiny island of atmosphere. It is watching you, with the gravity of 1 trillion dead stars. It is the audience, and you are the performer. Do not look away. The universe is vast and dark and not made for us. But we are here. We are the universe waking up and looking at itself. We are the way the cosmos knows itself. And even if we are doomed, even if the void consumes us, for this brief moment we burned. We saw the face of the monster, and we did not blink. Something is watching us from the cosmic void, and now you are watching it too.